San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the gas lamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Wednesday to all of you out there. Braden Surprenant Show off and running on a Wednesday following a Padres tough loss yesterday. We're going to say a tough loss. I thought Mud said it great last night. After the 10-run seventh inning that the Yankees put up, in the top half of the eighth, after a couple of outs, Mark Grant goes, well, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. I was dying. I was laughing so hard at that. Sometimes it happens. Padres had a really good win on Monday, come back yesterday with not as great of a performance. And it was good through the first 6 innings, really 6.5. And then the bullpen had their worst outing of 2025. And it was bound to happen. We talked about it yesterday, and we'll talk more about the bullpen later on the show. But the bullpen was doing things that were at a level that was unsustainable. In fact, that was even quoted in some of these articles about the San Diego Padres. They're playing at a very high level. They were pitching at a very high level, but it was still unsustainable to be at that the entire season. Sometimes you lose. Sometimes you get a clunker in there in the bullpen. And most of that's on Adrian Morejon than it is on Wandy Peralta. I mean, Wandy Peralta didn't stop the bleeding at all. But not the greatest performances out of the bullpen yesterday. You saw a couple of the clips on social media. Letters that AJ had it. Cody Bellinger's like tapping his hat on every off-speed pitch when Wandy Peralta was out there pitching. Whether or not he could see into the glove, or maybe Wandy's got some tells that he had when he was with the Yankees a couple of years ago, remains to be seen, even though Cody wasn't on the team a couple of years ago. But 10 runs in the 7th inning, I mean, that's kind of a fluke. I thought the umpiring at the beginning of the game wasn't very good. But it didn't come down to the umpires yesterday. It came down to the bullpen. And this is the first time that the bullpen has cost you a game in 2025. 10 runs in the 7th inning. But that being said, I'm still not worried about the bullpen. It was going to happen eventually. Jackson Merrill came back. You saw him yesterday, 2 for 4 with a double. His first ball that he hit, smoked down the line. Thought maybe Manny could score on it, but he ended up slowing down at third base. Padres unable to get any runs in that inning, but it's good to have Jackson Merrill back. He was 2 for 4 yesterday with a double. Fernando got back off the snide, 2 for 5 with a double and an RBI. Michael King had a serviceable pitching line last night. Quality start, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, 90 pitches, 51 for strikes. Clark Schmidt had a very similar stat line with Michael King. He just gave up more hits. The Padres gave up a lot of hits. They were able to get a lot of hits, but unable to really put anything together. But it's going to happen. Their performance this year has been great. The bullpen's been great. Padres have been great. Every once in a while, you're going to have a game like that. You're going to have a clunker of a game. And that's what we saw last night. There's really not too much to say about it, other than it just wasn't their night. From the bullpen perspective, wasn't necessarily their night offensively. I mean, they did okay in terms of putting up 10 hits, but it was not being able to drive in runs. That was a problem for the Padres again. But as Chris Ellis mentioned before with the runners in scoring position, everything like that, Teams that usually do well with runners in scoring position usually win. Teams that don't do well with runners in scoring position usually don't do well. Padres were 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position last night. The Yankees were 6 for 12, and they hit 500 of the runners in scoring position last night. It's a big difference between the runs and the run column compared to the hits, in which the Padres were out hitting the Yankees up into the entire game until they got to the 7th inning. So, again, I mean, there's people in the chat blaming Mike Shildt on that. They brought in Wandy because it was a left-hander. They brought in Wandy probably because they knew what the situation was. I mean, you can't use your best 3 guys in the bullpen every single day. I'd rather have them fresh for today anyway. Take 2 out of 3. And you see that a lot with Major League Baseball teams in series. I mean, we always want to see the Padres win every single game, but Major League Baseball teams understand they're not going to win every single game. And sometimes you punt. And after the outing that Morejon had, I think that's why they brought in Wandy Peralta instead of Jason Adam. Why burn Adam in a situation like that last night? You bring in Wandy to face the lefties as a left-hander, even though Morejon didn't have it last night. And that's what you got. You got to use those guys in the pen. You can't not use them. And again, last night, maybe they were like thinking about the next day. I mean, would you rather have Jason Adam today in a tight game or Jason Adam yesterday get wasted in a 10-run inning? I'd rather have him for today. Sometimes you got to play the long game a little bit. I don't really have a problem with Mike Shildt bringing in Wandy Peralta. If you're relying on Wandy Peralta to be a high leverage arm for you in the World Series, to win a World Series, or to make the playoffs, I got bad news for you. He's not a high leverage guy. He's just not. And so when the Padres decided to go with him, the writing was on the wall. It was like, this guy's going to wear it right now. They were warming up Adam just in case Morejon could have got out of that inning. And then he wasn't. He was getting worse. That's why Adam was warming up. They were hoping Morejon would get an out, maybe 2, and then you could bring in Adam for the final out and then have him start the next inning, have him start the 8th inning and get the first 2 outs of the 8th inning. That's I mean, we've seen Mike Shildt do that hundreds of times. That's why they didn't bring in Adam, because Morejon couldn't get an out. And that's why they brought in Wandy Peralta. I mean, you lose by 9, you lose by 3. It doesn't matter. You still lost. I'd rather have those guys fresh today, especially with an off day tomorrow before you play the Rockies over the weekend. You could still win 2 out of 3 against New York later on this afternoon. Another 4:05 start. I feel cheated. Supposed to be an extra day off for us, Frank.
I don't mind it, to be perfectly honest, because when you first start a job, you don't want to take too many days off.
That's true.
So this is where
I got
I'm
my
at
tea.
right now.
I sound worse today than I did the last 2 days, voice wise.
I don't notice it, but I'll take your word for it.
It sounds worse. I feel like I sound worse today. I don't feel that. I mean, I feel okay, but voice, it doesn't hurt to talk, but don't I sound raspy? I feel like I sound raspy right now.
It doesn't hurt on the radio.
No, I think it sounds nice. Sounds good. A little rasp to it. Expected to have a day off. Why are we playing a night game today?
Because Yankees.
Nah. It's because both teams have a day off tomorrow. That's why.
MLB Network needs to have a showcase.
No, yeah. Well, there you go. There it is. It's not the Yankees. I've spoken like a true Mets fan. That Aaron Judge home run last night, by the way, was so ridiculous. So ridiculous.
First row, shortest part of the ballpark.
314.
Love to see it.
I mean, if the fences were a little bit shorter, Tatis could have snagged it. That ball last night was out of 3 ballparks. I didn't even count one of them. It was out of Yankee Stadium. It was out in Dyken Field, or whatever the heck they call the juice box now.
Dyken Park. Yeah.
Dyken Park Field. I like the juice box better. And then it was out at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, which is, by the way, who doesn't know? Frank, do you want to fill us in on what's significant about Steinbrenner Field down in Tampa?
It is the Yankee spring training facility.
Oh, what's even more significant?
Built the same exact way as Yankee Stadium.
The exact same dimensions. AAA ballpark. But I will say,
It's not even AAA. I think
know,
their high A team plays there. It's either their high or low
yeah,
A
it's not a
team plays
AAA
there.
team. It's extended spring training and low A. I agree with your grandfather, though. At the same time, Padres could be lighting up some home runs right now. They're not. So take that for what it's worth. I thought last night was, it was, some people were showing the years of when they became a Padres fan when they were bitching last night on social media about the outcome of the game. It's going to happen. They're going to have games like that. Got to be able to bounce back today, get a W. And be honest with you, Dylan Cease, like, it's going to be interesting with Dylan Cease. He needs a bounce back outing in a bad way. And he needs one against the New York Yankees. We'll see what Dylan Cease has tonight. 4:05 first pitch. We got actually good weather today. You shouldn't have any issues with Sam's doesn't have to fill in too much with some extra time. Some rain delays.
You said you were watching the Padre, the local feed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was watching the TBS feed because that's all I had on offer.
I was blacked out of that. I couldn't even watch that.
They had Dylan Cease on in between innings for one of the innings. Said he felt fine. He's working on some arm slot things to help him feel a little bit better. But yeah, he needs a bounce back performance because right now, if I could only have one, I'm taking Michael King over Dylan Cease right now. If I could only have one.
You're going to have one on the $100 million guys that Jeff Passan put out yesterday that we'll talk about later on in the show.
Yes.
We'll get to that. We'll hear from manager Mike Shildt after yesterday's game. Coming up at 10:35. We don't spend too much time on hockey in the NBA, but it is the Stanley Cup playoffs going on. It is the NBA playoffs going on. So we actually have two guests today that will give us the full breakdown for all of you fans out there that want to be informed on what's going on in the rest of the sports world. So Don La Greca, host of Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg on ESPN New York Radio will join us at 10:35 to talk some hockey. We will have Brett Siegel on in the 1 o'clock hour to talk about the NBA playoffs. That Cavs-Pacers game last night was pretty good. I watched that last night. I mean, Donovan Mitchell put on a show, and they still couldn't get the job done. Every road team in round 2 or in the conference semifinals of the NBA has won. So much for home field advantage, home court advantage. We'll talk about that later on in the show. Plus, we got a lot of Padres segments to get to. We want to get to your phone calls today, too. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Just getting started on a Wednesday. Braden Surprenant Show, standing as number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:17 on a Wednesday. Frank wasn't here that one time where this always comes up on Wednesdays. Wednesdays and Thursdays. This is usually when you get them on MLB Network. Today, it's not the case. Not an interleague matchup on MLB Network. You could even say interleague. Brewers used to be in the American League, and the Astros used to be in the National League. Now it completely flipped. But the question was, a couple of weeks ago, I asked Adam, is there anything more boring than an AL Central game in the middle of the season on a weekday? During the day. In professional sports. Is there anything more boring than watching that on television?
I'm sure there has to be. There's too
out of
much,
all the
there's too much
top,
garbage and nonsense on TV. There has to be something worse.
Only in sports, though. I'm talking about like major professional sports. Is there a matchup worse than that? Would you rather watch Titans Jags Week 6
No.
on Thursday Night Football or Twins White Sox at 11 in the morning on a Wednesday in the middle of June?
Because I hate the NFL, I would 100% take the White Sox.
I'm watching the football game every day.
Nope. Sorry.
Go Aztecs on Twitch says, any hockey game. What do you think about that?
Inaccurate. Just straight up inaccurate. That is slander, good sir.
Let's go Aztecs. Been to a hockey game?
That is a good question, Go Aztecs. Have you been to an hockey game?
I know what you're doing with that bit. It just I'm just going to pretend like I didn't hear it every time that you're going to do it. I would much rather watch the football game than an AL Central game in the middle of June at like 11 o'clock. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We had Sam and Del Mar. He hung up. Got cold feet. Didn't want to bat leadoff today. Guy didn't want it bad enough, Frank. Didn't want it bad enough.
I got somebody who does want it bad enough.
Marcus and Menifee always wants it. And you know what? Since Sam asked for a pinch hitter, we're sending up Marcus to lead the ball game off today. What do you got today, Marcus?
Oh, I got a lot today, you guys. You know, I wake up at about 6:30 every day because I got an early shift. I work a heavy job. So I'm on with Ben Woods, and then afterwards I got you guys. Then I got the evening show. So
I'm glad we get to help you get through the day.
Oh, God, it helps so much because, honestly, music was getting boring. I got 2 words for you, fans. We need to flush it. Flush it. Move on, okay? Shildt knows what he's doing, all right? It's the Yankees. What are you going to do? I got a text from my uncle saying, oh, my poor Dodgers lost. Where were the Dodgers last night? In Miami, indoors. Not getting rained on, nothing. Are you kidding me? Let's go, Padres. Get it done.
All right, Marcus.
Day, guys.
Appreciate it, dude. Keep working hard out there. We're glad we can help you get through the day. Yeah, the Dodgers lost last night. That's positive, Frank.
They got walked off by the Fishies.
That's right. Don't mess with the fish down in Miami. Sean says NBA regular season game where you got Jazz and Hornets would be worse.
That's not a bad.
That's a good comp.
Yeah.
Would you rather watch Jazz Hornets in the middle of December, or would you rather watch Guardians and Tigers on a Wednesday afternoon?
I'm taking the baseball game.
I'm taking the baseball game too because it means it's summertime.
And now go Aztecs. We got to have a conversation.
Whoa!
Are you okay? You okay, sir?
Foul on Go Aztecs for the Maction slander.
Yeah, we're not
slandering the Mac. No Maction slander on this show. Mac action on a Tuesday or Wednesday. God, dude. The disrespect.
Listen, when you're desperate on a Tuesday or Wednesday night and you see Buffalo versus Bowling Green come up.
Oh, that's appointment setting television.
You are like, thank you. I was going to do something tonight and now I don't have to.
We got to educate, Frank. I can't wait for college football season. We got to educate some of these people about the excitement and the anarchy that is the Maction. Or You got Conference USA now, middle of the week, Frank.
There you go.
How about that?
And also, you got the conference realignment, so there's going to be new faces and new places. A lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that's always great.
We get even though San Diego State's now in the Pac-12, we got
It's not the Pac-12.
UTEP.
It's Pac-6.
Whatever. Pac-7. We got UTEP, part of the Mountain West now. I love their stadium. It's so nice. The way it's just like
Sun Bowl.
Yeah, just
You
the way
ever been there?
No, I have not been there, but
Driven past it twice.
It's really nice how it's just like nestled in the middle of two mountains. Like it's just hugged
nice.
by two mountains.
It's a good spot. Enough of that.
Valley, that's what I was looking for. The valley between two mountains.
Let's get to what Mike Shildt had to say yesterday. Padres lost yesterday, 10 runs, 7th inning. Tough loss for the Pods. Here's what Mike Shildt said about Michael King's performance in his return to the Bronx.
I thought Michael was really good, battling a little bit, controlling counts. I won't speak for him, but, I'm sure there's a lot of emotions going on, ramped up, getting after it. The ball was coming out good. Judge got him, I thought, nice piece of hitting. But I thought he was good overall. I mean, heck, this guy, got through 6 innings of work and kept him at 2 runs. And, we scored in the top half. So he left, the game officially as the pitcher of record with a win. So I thought Michael did the ball very well.
Michael King did do a good job. Gave you a quality start, put you in a position to win. And unfortunately, the bullpen is what kind of let you down in the game yesterday. And most of it is on Morejon. I mean, a lot of people want to give the credit to Peralta. He didn't help at all. I mean, he's supposed to go in there and be a tourniquet. And that's not necessarily what he did. But here's what Mike Shildt had to say on why he pulled Adrian Morejon when he did.
Yeah, basically just what I got through explaining. We got a guy that, we got the base load. It's not an ideal situation, obviously. We've got a guy that in Peralta that, again, has this 3rd weakest contact rate in all of Major League Baseball. He's been throwing strikes. He hasn't been getting up a run all year. He's got a 70-something% ground ball rate. And he's second, by our numbers and the league numbers in ground ball rate among relievers. And we're in a situation where we're looking for soft contact and a ground ball.
It makes sense to me. I'm not going to I said it yesterday with being a manager in baseball. Even if you do all the right things, if it doesn't work, you still look like an idiot. It's a hard job to do. I mean, baseball, when it comes to strategy, it's such an obscure sport that even if you push all the right buttons, it still could not work out in your favor. So, didn't work out last night. Padres aren't the only team that gave up at least 9 runs in an inning. San Francisco did that last night, too. Or the Cubs did.
Yeah, the Cubs did that, too.
San Francisco put up 9 runs in the top of the 11th inning. Tough day to be Ryan Presley today, huh? Tough day to be Ryan Presley. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Here's our guy. Sam Del Mar is back. What's going on, Sam?
Just dropped.
What up, guys? How you doing?
There he is.
He's right there, Frank. Come on, man.
I lost him on my side. That's why.
Okay. We're doing well, Sam. What do you got today?
I'm right here.
Oh, we got you. I got you.
I'm good. Perfect. No, I was waiting for a grand slam to happen last night. I thought it was going to be Manny stepping up to the plate with the bases loaded, but it happened to be Austin Wells. So, I got something right. I knew it was going to happen, just the wrong team. But one thing I did pick up on was Tatis went back to his big leg kick. And I was wondering if you noticed that as well.
I did notice his leg kick a little bit. When Fernando tweaks with his swing, he goes back to some of his older parts of his swing a lot, like randomly. You see it with the one-arm finish. Like most of the time, he finishes with 2 hands on the bat, but every once in a while, have that one-arm flip, and I think I've seen it a little bit with the leg kick. Again, he had gone through 2 consecutive days without a knock, and sometimes you want to go back to what is going to work for you, or you feel comfortable or something like that. So I'm actually going to look for that again tonight and see if he continues to do it tonight, because he had a good night last night, 2 for 4 for the San Diego Padres. Snapped that hitless streak that he had for 2 straight games. And the Padres, I thought last night, I agree with Sam, I thought last night was going to be the first time that we saw a 3-run or a grand slam for the Padres this year, who's still yet to do it. I thought we were close on that. Maybe that'll be tonight. You're going against the best that the Yankees have in Max Fried, but you roughed them up a little bit last year in the playoffs. So maybe the Padres can do that. What is the roster move when Jake comes back on Friday? That's going to be a point of discussion probably for the rest of the show. And probably a lot tomorrow. Go Aztecs. Let's get to Chris in San Diego. Chris, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, I was just listening to you and other people talking about the bullpen is the problem last night. And I think it was a couple guys in the bullpen. We still got other guys who didn't let us down last night that might have been better to go to. I think Padres had a day off before they played the Yankees the first time. They got another day off Thursday. I would have liked to have seen Estrada and Adam and Suarez come in. They had a chance in the 7th inning to lock down a 1-run game and go up in the series 2-0. Just thought I'd get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Chris. So you can't. Unfortunately, the Padres can't use those guys every single day, and sometimes you try to. And I've talked to a lot of, bullpen coaches and coaches that run bullpens, and sometimes you try to sneak guys in there and get as many outs as you can out of other players in your bullpen. And those are players that you have to use. You're going to have to use those guys at some point in time during the season. I mean, you can't use Estrada, Adam, and Suarez every single game. You're just going to burn them out for the end of the season. And so right now, when you're trying to get like a second win, secure the series against the Yankees, I think the Padres are right now in a position where they understand they're going to be a good team. They're going to be a team in the postseason, and they need to be able to spread out some of the use of their bullpen throughout the rest of the year. So you don't burn them out at the beginning of the season, and then you're in a jam late in the year when guys start getting tired. So I do think last night was a little bit of a trying to sneak guys in through the bullpen. I think it was a way to try to get Adrian Morejon some work. Look, he had to face a lot of lefties in that order too. He didn't have it last night. He's got to face 3 batters minimum. And so, you know what? They put Peralta in to basically wear it, and that's it. That's basically where you're at with last night's game. And a lot of other pieces in the bullpen did okay after the game was already out of reach. Burgett looked fine. But I think they're trying to keep the guys healthy throughout the entire year because they know how devastating that back end of the bullpen is. Now, the question that is going to be posed by us later in the day, is this Padres bullpen actually championship caliber? Or did we just see the first crack? I think it still is. I mean, do you trust this bullpen in October? After one night? Yeah, absolutely. Still trust the bullpen. It was only a matter of time. You have Sean Reynolds coming back. Hoeing's on the 60-day injured list, so I don't know when he can come back. But you're going to get some reinforcements for some of those fringe guys in the bullpen where you don't have to worry about it later on in the year. But right now, you're trying to use as many of those guys as arms as you can while you still can. 833-288-RYAN73, 833-288-0973. Padres overall, again, last night, just wasn't their night in one inning. One inning difference last night. 10-run, 7th inning for the New York Yankees. Jumped on Morejon. Peralta didn't really help out too much. And that was all she wrote. Had some pretty exciting games in hockey last night. We're going to quickly update you on what's going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs as Don La Greca will join us when we come back. Hosted Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg on ESPN New York Radio. And after that, we'll talk more Padres to finish up the first hour. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, standing on Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. 10:37 on a Wednesday morning here in America's finest city. Braden Surprenant Show. As we roll on, talking a lot of Padres baseball, but do want to take a little bit of a break to keep you updated on the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's host of Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg on ESPN New York Radio. He's a longtime play-by-play man for the New York Rangers. Does pre and post for the Rangers as well. He's had a great career as a broadcaster in New York, and I'm honored to have him on the show. That is Don La Greca joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Don, what's going on? How you doing?
How are you? Everything good?
Yeah, doing well so far as we get locked into Padres baseball in New York against the Yankees the last couple of days. But a lot of exciting hockey going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs, Don, and kind of started with last night, game one of Hurricanes and Capitals, where it looked like the Capitals kind of missed out on some opportunities as the Hurricanes were able to capitalize on some of their mistakes.
You know, when I'm watching that game and I'm seeing that the Capitals have a lead in the third period and had just 11 shots on goal, I'm like, they're fortunate to be in the situation that they're in, and they're playing with fire. And this Carolina's team doesn't do anything spectacular. They don't have any quote-unquote superstars, but what they do have are just quality up and down the lineup. And they were able to take advantage to get the goal to tie it. And once you get to overtime, you know, anything can happen. So, you know, the Capitals, I thought, played really poorly. And Carolina almost missed the opportunity to take advantage of it, but they didn't. And this is a team that just does not go away. They kind of just hang around. And they've got also this issue with not being able to get out of the second round. That's kind of been the Achilles heel of Rod Brind'Amour teams over the last few years. So for them to be able to steal home ice advantage and win the game the way they did last night, that bodes very well for them to maybe pull the upset off here.
Yeah, the shot volume last night was staggering. 94 attempts, 33 on goal. Is this Brind'Amour hockey, or is this just something they exploited from the Capitals last night?
Yeah, you just wonder, you know, a little bit of a layoff. Not, you know, even I thought Montreal was a pretty decent test for them, but certainly not as good a team that is in the Washington Capitals level. So was it just called maybe sleepwalking a little bit or what? But this Carolina team is ferocious, man. I mean, they just do not let up on you. Like I said, they don't have the real studs. Like Aho's a really good player, clearly, and they've got some really nice players, especially on the blue line. But you know, nothing of the ilk of David or Draisaitl or, you know, McKinnon or anything like that. But they can roll four lines and they just be all over you. So if you sleep for any little period of time, they're going to take advantage of it. And I didn't think they did enough during the first, you know, like 45, 50 minutes of the game. But once they tied the game, they took the opportunity and they just ran with it.
Don La Greca, host of Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg on ESPN in New York, host of the Game Misconduct podcast, joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Let's talk about the other game that happened last night on the Western Conference, the Oilers and the Golden Knights. Oilers have won 5 straight games of the playoffs when trailing. Obviously, that doesn't seem like a sustainable thing to do the comeback trend, or, you know, can they be able to continue to do that with their style of play, or are they flirting with disaster right now?
Well, I think they're flirting with disaster, but could it be enough to, you know, go win another round? Remember, this is a team that wouldn't go away last year, down 3-0 in the best of 7 against Florida in the Stanley Cup final and forced the game 7. So they've showed a ton of resiliency. They've had the Kings number in the first round. They took advantage of that. This Vegas team, though, is very, very dangerous. So I wouldn't mess around too much with Vegas because they're an exceptionally deep team and they're experienced as well. So it could be a disaster now, but I just don't count this Edmonton Oilers team out. They got 2 of the best players on the planet, so you know that they're always going to be in games. They're going to find a way to score goals. It's just, will their goaltending stand up too? They've already made the goaltending change as Stuart Skinner's been showing the door here, and you know, we'll see how much Pickard can hold up. You wouldn't think it's sustainable, but they're just so entertaining. What they were able to accomplish last year, you almost don't want to put anything by them. I mean, you would figure somebody, Winnipeg, Dallas in the next round, if they're able to get past Vegas, wouldn't play around with them. But you never know. I mean, this Edmonton team did it last year. Maybe they can do it again. But no, it doesn't feel like it's sustainable the deeper you get into the playoffs, especially the quality of teams they're going to be facing.
Well, this Vegas team had a 2-0 lead and only managed 7 shots over the final 2 periods. Is that something to say more about Edmonton's adjustments defensively, or the Golden Knights kind of falling apart?
Well, and also just possessing the puck, right? I mean, they're just such a great offensive team. They get a hold of the puck, they move it around, their defensemen are active. So it's just the best offense sometimes is a good, best defense is a good offense, and they're always trying to create offensively. But Vegas, they're too good. I mean, Eichel is a guy that very easily can win the MVP this year, win himself a Hart Trophy. They were missing Pietrangelo, which obviously is something that could hurt them. We'll see how long he's going to end up being out. But yeah, Vegas will be back, man. But like this Edmonton team, they don't let up on you either, man. And I think they're very underrated coach. I got to get No Knobloch when he was in Hartford in the AHL affiliate with the Rangers. He got to coach some games for then David Quinn when he had COVID back when they were in the bubble. And he's a really good coach, and I think he's done a really good job with this Edmonton team.
Don La Greca, host of Don Hahn and Rosenberg, ESPN New York. He also is the New York Rangers pre- and post-game host on ESPN New York Radio. He is joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show, breaking down the NHL playoffs. Got a couple of games tonight, Panthers and Maple Leafs. Florida dominated season series on special teams against the Maple Leafs. This is a series that's going to be decided on the power play battle, or is that just we overrating that stat in this series?
No, listen, the special teams are always really important. If you get them, you got to take advantage of them. But this Florida team is just relentless. You know, they even in the game you saw the other day, you know, they wouldn't go away. You know, they give them the first couple of goals, they don't go away. You know, all of a sudden it's 5-3, then it's 5-4, and they're buzzing. And you know, good on Toronto to find a way to survive it, especially after the loss of Stolarz. And even though Wall's a good backup, certainly a good backup goaltender, the loss of Stolarz can be pretty devastating. We'll see if he's going to play tonight, and if he does, and when he'll get the chance to play again. But this Toronto team, they may not have the toughness. That's why people are speculating about Reeves getting in the lineup for Toronto, because Florida is just so physical, and Bennett's a pain in the neck, and they just keep coming at you. But there's so much talent on this Toronto team, just up and down. You know, Nylander had the big game. Austin Matthews had an off year, but you know how good he can be. I thought Nyes had a very underrated season. Mitch Marner's one of the better players people don't talk about. There's so much star power in this series. Florida's going to be tough to kill, but I picked Toronto to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the playoffs. So if they could survive this test against Florida, like, tell me I'm wrong, right? I mean, Florida's just been there, back-to-back Cup finals, winning the Cup last year. This is going to be a heck of a series, and Toronto getting that win is so huge. How about this stat? They're the only home team to win in the second round in either the NBA or the NHL.
Yeah, that is
like
crazy.
Every road team has won except Toronto. Finally was doing. They were the first one to win at home, and everybody else has lost their first home game. And in Cleveland, they lost their second home game, which is probably going to cost them the series. So, you know, at least Toronto's got that 1-0 lead, sustained home ice advantage, and I think they got a real chance to make a big time run.
What happens in college football? We want to change the playoff. What happens in the NHL and the NBA? It's just keep doing the same thing. Let's move on to the Stars and the Jets to kind of finish off this deal. Both teams pulled off stunning Game 7 rallies. Which team do you think is better built to ride that momentum and reset for Game 1?
Well, I was really disappointed in Hellebuck in round one, and he got bailed out by that comeback, which was just absolutely amazing. He's going to have to play better if they've got any chance against Dallas. I think Winnipeg is the better team, and they've got what is a crazy home ice advantage. But Dallas, a lot like Vegas, just has a ton of experience. I mean, they haven't won a cup recently, but they've been involved. They've been to a final. They've been to the conference final almost routinely. And then you just see Rantanen, what he brings to the table. But I'm kind of curious health-wise. You know, Morrissey had to leave the game early in Game 7 for Winnipeg. They're playing without Scheifele. Dallas is playing without Heiskanen. They're playing without Robertson. We'll see what their status is going to be for tonight. It looks like both can be back. But, you know, both having to play shorthanded to get through their series and win those amazing Game 7s. But I just think Winnipeg is deeper, and they've got the better goaltender in Hellebuck. He's going to win the Vezina Trophy, but he played so poorly, especially on the road in the first round of the playoffs. If he's able to shake it off, and hopefully given this second opportunity by the way they came back in Game 7, I'm going to go Winnipeg just based on the goaltending.
Don, I appreciate the time, man. Thanks again for giving us the lowdown on the latest in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and really appreciate you joining us today.
How's the weather out there? Good?
It's not. We're finally getting some sunshine. This is usually our May gray time of the year where it's kind of cloudy the entire month, but sun's been poking through. It should be a nice weekend this weekend, Don.
Well, yeah, I got 78 and sunny. I'm walking around the city. I feel like I'm by you. Like I feel like I'm getting some California weather here. So
yeah,
we finally got some sun after a couple of days of rain. So enjoy, man. This is fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Don. Thank you very much. It's fun talking about sports, talking about Stanley Cup with Don La Greca. Guy's a legend in New York. Did a great job, and big thanks to Frank for making that happen. Frank's known Don for a very long time. And that was some good insight right there. Stanley Cup playoffs. Thanks again for that, Frank. That was a treat.
Yeah, family. My uncle actually worked with him at Sports Phone way back in the day.
Wow.
For those of you who know what Sports Phone is, so that's where connection was made, and I was able to had the fortunate ability to be able to talk to Don as I was going through college and help me through stuff there and help me out when I first started in New York over there. So yeah, very, very happy that he was able to help out today.
Yeah, guy knows his hockey too.
Yep.
You guys are all well
100%.
informed to participate in some hockey tonight. Two big games tonight. Stars and Jets, Panthers and Maple Leafs. We will talk more about the NBA playoffs later on in the 1 o'clock hour, but we do want to dive in to some more Padres baseball. This is a Padres show. We're going to be talking a lot about the Padres. It's going to be a lot of Padres throughout the entire season, during the off season, but we want to mix in other sports. We want to talk about other sports. There's a lot of stuff going on in sports. This is a sports show. Braden Surprenant show is a sports show. And so we did some good hockey games last night. The NBA games last night were great too. We'll talk more about the NBA later on, as I mentioned. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get to Jason in Encinitas. Jason, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. Just wanted to, talk a little bit about the bullpen. I would surmise that every other GM in the National League is viewing the Padres bullpen as the thing that scares them most. I mean, this team, hits the ball pretty well, defends very well, and has good starting pitching. But, make no mistake, this team, as far as it's going to go, is going to be a function of how well that bullpen performs. And, anyone thinks that the Padres were going to pitch to a .70 ERA for the entirety of the year in that bullpen is delusional. So they had a bad game. They played 35 games and they pitched beautifully in 34 games. So, I'm not worried about the bullpen at all. The second topic I wanted to cover was, who's probably going to go down. And I would guess it's probably Burgert when Jake comes off the DL. I mean, T. Wade has proven that he belongs here. He can play all over the field. He's played second and center. He's a left-handed bat. And then you have Lockridge, who, plays all the outfield positions and puts pressure on the opponents with his legs. And so, I think it's most likely going to be Burgert, but wanted to, get your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate the phone call. When it comes to, was he talking about the roster move at the end of the week?
Yeah, he's talking about when Cronenworth comes back.
Do we have an extra pitcher right now? This is roster limits on pitching and position players.
They haven't sent Kolek back down, have they?
No, he's still on the.
So no, I think they have the.
Do they have one extra pitcher? Then let me pull up the roster.
I think they have the correct amount. Again, my first thought would have been Oscar Gonzalez was the one to go. I thought that would have happened yesterday because you're adding an outfielder. It would make sense to drop an outfielder.
When they added Kolek, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They got 13 pitchers and 13 position players. Don't you need 13 each? What's the roster rule? I forget because it changes all the time.
It's usually 5 starters and so 13 pitchers.
So you have 13 pitchers, which means you can't send anybody down. I don't think you can carry 14 position players.
You've got how many outfielders do they have right now on the Major League roster? It's got to be like 7 or 8 right now, right?
They have 7.
Yeah.
Well, Gavin Sheets is considered an outfielder on the sheet. Outfielders are Gonzalez, Hayward, Lockridge, Merrill, Sheets, Tatis, Wade. Those are all considered outfielders.
It's got to be Gonzalez. That would be my guess.
I would say it's Gonzalez. We picked correctly yesterday. We said it was probably going to be Campusano.
I thought it was going to be Campusano for the second go around, but
I mean, you're running out of options here.
Oh no, I know. I'm just saying. I thought outfielder coming up, it would make sense to bring an outfielder down, so it would have been Gonzalez yesterday, and then Campy when Cronenworth is ready.
Right.
But
I guess they could carry one less pitcher if they wanted to. I don't see them doing that though. I think they can go 13-13 I know you can go 14-12, but I can't remember if you can carry an extra pitcher or not. I don't think you can carry 12 pitchers.
I mean, the only time I would see them doing the extra pitcher thing would not be this weekend. It would be next weekend because they come back home after Colorado to face the Angels, day off on Thursday, Seattle at home, and then it's the day off on Monday. So, like, if you were going to do what they did last week with the dropping the fifth starter to get an extra reliever, you'd do that next weekend, not this weekend.
You can.
Did you get that point?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
teams are limited to carrying 13 pitchers. And then when they add 28 men at the end of the season, you can carry a limit of 14. And two-way players don't count, right? So
because
I guess they could
expands to 28,
theoretically, they could theoretically take 12 pitchers. So they could, as Jason said, they could send down Berger if they wanted to.
Yeah.
And then go with 12 pitchers instead of 13.
But to keep 7 outfielders seems excessive.
I think it's better to have Berger on the team than it is to have Oscar Gonzalez on the team.
I agree. 100%.
And the thing with Oscar Gonzalez, again, he's got that opt-out in his contract if he's not up at the big leagues by a certain time. I don't know if that continues after he's gotten pulled up one time. But I would imagine Gonzalez is probably on his way out.
That came up with Luke Voigt, I think, when he signed with, was it San Francisco, I think? He didn't get pulled up by the date, and then he...
Yeah, you can opt out.
Yeah,
that's what Jose Iglesias did with the Padres in 2023,
yes.
like 3 times. I mean, he could theoretically opt out and then re-sign another minor league deal with the Padres. Iglesias did that, like I mentioned, 3 times in 2023. I think it's Gonzalez. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. When we come back on the Braden Surprenant show, talk about the Padres bullpen woes again, that 7th inning meltdown. Peralta wore it. Braden Surprenant show rolls on. Baseball coverage on 97 through the fans presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com, get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Frank, we had some people in the chat asking about.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, hang on. Asking about the game yesterday, the Champions League that you were watching.
Well, as you can see, it's scrolling down on the bottom right now, as a matter of fact. It went very well.
We're very well for Inter Milan.
Very, very well.
You didn't lose a lot of hair?
Don't remind
compared
me.
to most Italians?
Don't remind me about that. But no, it was a thriller of a game. Even some people that don't watch soccer watch that game because of watching my reactions to it. And they said, yeah, that was a great game. Most games, much like every sport, most of it's just mundane, normal, boring, standard, out of the ordinary. But every now and again, you get that gem that hooks somebody new. Yesterday was that gem with Inter and Barcelona yesterday.
Your live reactions were phenomenal. I can't believe we didn't clip those.
We still can.
We could still do that. Go and check the video yesterday near the end of the show where Inter Milan had a 2-0 lead, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they did.
Which I was told, by the way, from soccer people, that you never want to be up 2-0.
Yeah, it's kind of like 3-0 in hockey.
You'd rather be up 1-0 than 2-0. In fact, if you have a breakaway chance, maybe we should miss it on purpose because we don't want to be up 2-0. That's how insane that conversation I had went when talking about the 2-0 curse in soccer. I don't get it. Why wouldn't you want to be up by more goals?
Because you get lazy. Like you get complacent. Like what happened, I said it yesterday. Once you get too good a lead, especially Italian teams are known for this, you just park the bus. You just sit back, let them take shots, and just hope and pray the defense holds.
That sounds like more of a problem of the team than anything else. Like I see it in soccer all the time. 2-0 leads are ridiculous.
Especially in Italian soccer, that's a very, very bad mentality to have, but it's worked for them so often that they just keep doing it.
I mean, if you continue to do the same thing over and over and feel comfortable with the 2-0, I would never feel comfortable with the 2-0 lead, and then I would never get lazy. But apparently, they continue to do the same thing. I've never understood the 2-0 lead in soccer being a problem.
3-0 lead in hockey is the same exact thing. It's born out of complacency, is what it is. It's born out of if you start to get a little complacent. They score a goal. It's like, okay, now we got to turn it on. They score again. It's like, okay, now we really got to turn it on. Why can't we turn it back on? And then they score the third because you're trying too hard.
Could you imagine if like the Padres went up by like 2 or 3 runs and it was like
they just shut it off?
Oh, well, now we won't try. We don't want to. Like, God,
it feels
that's
like
Manny hitting a home run to go up like 4-0, and Padres fans are like, "Oh no, now we're up 4-0. This is where our team's gonna fall apart." The dumbest thing ever. That is so. I mean, I understand the philosophy on that, but like, shouldn't you be like more mentally tough than when you go up 2-0 to just kind of turn it on some more? That's why I like Mikey Varas' attitude. We're gonna go get it.
You take your foot off the gas, you relax, you save yourself for when you need to turn it back on, and then when you do need to turn it back on, it's not there.
All right. I feel like that's an easy fix. Apparently in Italian soccer it's not.
I agree, but again, you've won the second or third most World Cups out of any other nation doing that thing. So yeah, it works.
Well, we are the
keep doing it.
We are the alone Italian show on the airwaves here.
Italian Paul is officially moved permanently now.
Yeah. Now you're just Frank.
Yes.
Italian Frank. This is the all Italian show, by the way.
Yeah, now you're just Frank kind of feels like a downgrade.
I don't think so.
No, just the way you said it. It was like,
now you're just Frank.
Yeah, now you're downgraded. Now you're not special anymore.
Do we need to call you Italian? Why would you want to be called somebody else's name?
No,
the Italian version of it.
I'm just saying, when just the way you said it kind of was like, oh yeah, now you're downgraded.
Now you're just Frank.
Yeah, now you're just
Frank. We have the Aztec show as the afternoon show, and we're the Italian show. Maybe we need to have an Italian segment.
I think that's what this has been.
Yeah,
so
there you
far.
go. Inter Milan. That's our Italian segment of the day. We'll just go like this all day. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's talk Padres. Save me from the Inter Milan talk. I was just more here for the reaction out of Frank from yesterday. He literally collapsed in his chair. Hilarious. I'm glad they won, though. You would have been in a way worse mood today.
No, I wouldn't have been in a worse mood today. You're going to be in Italy for the final, though.
I will.
The finals when are you?
Memorial Day
going?
weekend.
When are you going?
Memorial Day weekend, May 24th.
Yeah, it's the finals
sick.
May 30th.
Oh man, what city is it in?
I have to look that up. I don't remember offhand.
Oh boy. Not that you have the electing a new pope. It's Jubilee this year. I mean, it's just insane. All right, save me from the European soccer talk. Let's go back to Padres talk. Here's Stephen Powell. You're on the Braden Surprenant show. Steve, what's going on, man?
Hey, Braden, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Hey, well, you know what? One game. I have a couple comments. Number one, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Wandy Peralta sent down to minors last year because he was so terrible? I'm pretty sure that at the end of the season he was sent down or during the middle of the season. So I was actually surprised when I saw him on the roster this year. Even though he seems like he's been a little bit better this year, I think we saw the real Peralta, to be honest with you, last night. But he was pretty bad last year. The other point I want to make is, this could be a discussion. When Cronenworth comes back, who's we sending down? And if I had to vote, my vote would be Hayward needs to go. So I'm just kind of curious what everybody else thinks.
I don't think the Padres are going to give him a Hayward yet, Steve. I just don't think that's going to be the case. I guess you're going to think about who's more valuable to the team, Oscar Gonzalez long term or Jason Hayward. I don't think that they're ready to give up on Hayward yet. He's done okay. I mean, he's not I'm not going to sit here and defend him saying he's some great player. I would imagine Oscar Gonzalez is probably the one that's getting shipped off or sent down to AAA. Wandy Peralta was not sent down last year. He's on a major league contract. And he is under contract for a decent amount of years now, guys. If you look at the Padres payroll, Wandy Peralta is under contract for, where is it at? Wandy Peralta signed a 4-year deal. He's getting paid $4.25 million this year. He's going to get paid $4.4 million next year. He's going to get paid $4.4 million the year after that. He's under contract until 2028. We get used to Wandy Peralta, and if you're not used to him, you better get used to paying him. Now, $4 million is not a lot. It's not a ton. So, I mean, they could probably eat that if they wanted to. But I'm not surprised they went with Peralta, just because with Peralta in the situation, I think they just had him wear the game. I just think they had him wear it last night. You can't use your top 3 guys every single night. Now, I'd imagine you probably will see them tonight if the Padres have a lead late. And again, one more win and you got a winning road trip. You swept Pittsburgh. You already won the first game in New York. Lost last night. Tough game. Flush it, move on. See what the Padres have in store at 4:05 p.m. Pacific time today. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show at 3:05. Off day tomorrow. Rockies of the weekend. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Magic in San Diego. You're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, Magic?
How you doing, big guy?
I'm doing well.
Very good. Hey, yesterday I watched that game, and Brandon, I think it's just more than an aberration. I mean, I don't know how people expected this bullpen, who has played so well this year, to continue to do this. And people forget that these major league players, they get paid to hit too. So as well as the bullpen has been, you're going to have a game or two like that. And I totally agree with what you said. It's just a throwaway game. I would not continue to put those 3 top relievers in their situation like that. You have to save them for the other series coming up. You just can't wear them out like that. So I look at yesterday's game as just an admiration. I think just a little blip. They didn't lose much ground anywhere else. So they'll snap out of it. It'll be okay going forward.
I think so too, Magic. Here's the thing that people need to understand again, and we try to talk about it some on the air, but you can't view it like the NFL. I mean, there's 162 games throughout the entire year, and they're not trying to win every single one of them because they know they can't do it. And so there's going to be days where the Padres will punt on a game, will have a throwaway game, as Magic said, and they're going to use some of those guys to kind of make it through the year, like a Wandy Peralta. Now, he's not a high leverage guy. He's been pretty good up until this point. I mean, he had a blow-up game yesterday, and the fact that the bullpen got hit around a little bit yesterday is not surprising in the least. And it's two guys that are not expected to be your high leverage guys late in the season. I think it'd be more concerning if it was Estrada, Adam, and Suarez that got lit up than these two guys. But again, I'm not worried about them. I'm not worried about the bullpen, and neither is Mike Shildt. Mike Shildt yesterday, after the game, talked about how he still trusts Adrian Morejon and Wandy Peralta.
Bullpen's been fantastic. It's been tremendous. I mean, Morejon been tremendous. Wandy's been, you guys can do your research too, but Wandy's been outstanding. Hadn't given up an earned run. Third in all relievers in weak contact. Top 5 in strike percentage. Second in ground ball rate. So, the other side's trying to. So one of those games, one of those innings, and I will be more than happy to run them both out there tomorrow.
I would too. I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to keep rolling them out there every single day. Not every single day, but you got to keep rolling them out there. They're part of the bullpen. They're on the roster. He's got to use them. Jackson Merrill looked pretty good in his return. Just how good? We'll talk about some of his metrics and what he was able to do for the Padres when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show, standing as number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. We're not in the lunchtime hour yet, but I do like talking about food during the lunchtime hour, just kind of naturally. I saw this on a different podcast. I found it interesting. I need your take on this, Frank.
All right.
You're a picky eater, though. So
Yes, I am.
And you're not a spice guy.
No.
So I might already know the answer to this.
It's one of my many flaws that I'll admit to.
Do you like quesadillas?
Yeah, more or less.
Right? I mean, cheese and tortilla. I don't mind a quesadilla.
I haven't had them in a while because the last time I've had like flour tortillas since my stomach surgery, my stomach doesn't handle it well. So,
Oh, they got other tortillas. You can do almond flour tortillas.
Allergic to nuts.
Oh no!
I have an answer for everything.
If you're gonna order, let me ask you this: if you're gonna order quesadillas, what would you want as a dipping sauce on the side? Like, what would you expect it to come with?
Honestly, I wouldn't mind melted cheese. I think that would probably
Melted cheese on the. What would you expect? Like, what would you expect if you ordered a quesadilla and it came with two? What would you expect they give it to you?
I thought you were asking my personal preference. I'd probably say salsa would probably be
salsa,
yeah.
right? Probably be salsa. On this podcast, they said they went to the movie theater.
Well, that's your first mistake.
And ordered a quesadilla, and it came with, if you had to guess, it didn't come with salsa. It came with sour cream. You dip it in sour cream.
Wouldn't be my first choice, but I understand it. People put sour cream on tacos.
I understand that too, but like sour cream is like the next in line behind salsa. I get guac too, but like
your first problem,
dipping stuff in a sour cream.
Your first problem is getting a movie theater quesadilla and then trusting the movie theater sour cream.
Well, see, that would be even if I'm.
That's your first mistake.
I don't know why you would. I don't know why a movie theater would serve a quesadilla with sour cream instead of salsa. I feel like it needs to be salsa.
No. You're
no, I get what you're saying. They ordered the movie theater quesadilla. It's probably a microwavable quesadilla you can get anywhere. Why is it coming with sour cream? Shouldn't it come with guac or salsa? Sour cream. I don't know about that.
The fact that you would trust movie theater.
I wouldn't. I didn't do it. Somebody else did.
I'm saying anyone. The fact that anyone.
You want to gourmet movie theaters now.
Again, I am a picky eater, so I'm probably not the best person to say this, but I do have a frame of what is good and where it should be and why it should or shouldn't be there.
Adam Paul says movie theaters make a mean quesadilla.
Depends on. I mean, I would trust a quesadilla at a movie theater here. I would not trust a movie theater quesadilla in Decatur. Like that's
Decatur. Which Decatur are we talking about?
Pick one.
Decatur, Texas. I've been to Decatur, Texas.
I wouldn't. Lincoln, Nebraska. I wouldn't trust a movie theater quesadilla in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's not the quesadilla
in the movie theater that's the problem. It's the quesadilla with the sour cream on the side.
No,
Is that over the salsa? If you get a burrito at a taco shop, you get a side of sour cream on the side instead of salsa. I feel like it needs to be salsa or guac. I'm sure sour cream's good, but I don't know if you need to put sour cream on all that stuff.
No, overall point of the conversation, no, I agree. It would not. Sour cream would not be the first choice I would expect, or the first thing I would expect.
Yeah, I don't think our boys at Craft Taco are putting sour cream on the side of their tacos.
No,
absolutely not. Jackson Merrill's back. Saw him yesterday. His first at bat, smoked it, 105.2 miles an hour. And his first at bat back from the injured list. His second at bat, he hit 100 miles an hour on a single. Struck out in his third at bat, and he flew out, hit that almost 100 miles an hour. The guy was raking at the plate. It's good to have him back in the lineup. It would have been better if the Padres were able to put up some numbers and really utilize him. But he brings a lot of different intangibles to the San Diego Padres team that was lacking for the last couple of weeks. And although you didn't see it with the sample size of last night's game, I mean, Jackson Merrill brings a lot of energy to that lineup. In fact, Mike Shildt talked about in his pregame yesterday on the energy that Jackson Merrill brings off the field.
You know, we got a passionate group that loves to play, that loves playing together. We got a good energy on the club, a lot of good energy guys, but, you know, Jackson's got that energy, that competitive fire, that burning desire to compete, and, you know, that has residual value, and he brings it every day.
He returned after a month off, hit cleanup, and immediately impacted the game. He is now hitting .390 in 11 games. He brings energy and called playing again, quote, like an adrenaline rush. His defense in center and bat in the middle of the order stabilized the team. He's already probably one of the Padres' most valuable position player, aside from a guy like Fernando Tatis Jr. If everyone's healthy, and we're talking value to the team, where does Jackson Merrill rank in value with Tatis, Machado, and Luis Arraez? Because even Luis Arraez, you know, look at his metrics, look at his WAR, not very good numbers when it comes to those particular things. Padres play a lot better with Luis Arraez in the lineup than they do without him in the lineup. Everyone's healthy. In terms of value, where does Merrill rank on the team? I mean, he's got to be near the top. Is he more valuable than Fernando?
No.
I don't think so. I mean, if you had to take one of those, if you were guaranteed to have one of those players on your team for the rest of eternity or rest of his career, and the other player has to leave, which guy are you picking? It's probably Fernando in that particular case. What about, is he more valuable than Manny?
I would say yes.
I think if you look at his age, probably.
Not even his age. I think, and I texted you after Manny's strikeout and with that bases loaded. That's a spot that I think Merrill comes through more often than Manny in that situation. Now, it may not have been a grand slam. It may have just been a little poke, but still, that's Manny whiff, waff, woof, 3 pitches, none of them near the strike zone, just down and out. He is struck out, and again, nothing against Manny. I couldn't do what he does on a daily basis. Manny, in those big game spots, those moments that could turn a game around one way or the other at the plate, just has that innate ability to strike out and look bad every single time doing it that Merrill does not have.
Merrill's got that clutch factor as of right now. Early in his career, Manny's hit over 350 with the bases loaded in his career. Now, he has not done that in a Padres uniform. It's a little bit different numbers. He had a lot of that in Baltimore when he was younger. I don't necessarily know if I can say that Merrill is more valuable than Manny Machado to this Padres team. It's very interesting to see. Yeah, here you go. Will Adams, Manny is hitting 350 with the bases loaded. A lot of that's in Baltimore. Not a lot of that's in San Diego. I would say Merrill's more clutch than Manny is, but I think there's other intangibles too that Manny brings with this team. And it seems like when Manny's cooking and when Manny's at the top, the Padres follow, and this team kind of goes by where Manny goes.
Oh, and I agree with you. And that's also partly to do with the fact that Manny's been in the league for 14 years. He's now, as they mentioned on the TBS broadcast, he's now reached the same amount of service time here in San Diego than he did with Baltimore. And Merrill, this is just his second year. So a lot of that comes with experience. But I mean, I think it's, if you look at the big moment, I don't know if it's just youthful exuberance or whatever you want to call it. I think Merrill does have a little bit more to it than Manny does.
If I had to rank the players in terms of value, I would go Fernando number 1. I think he's the best value to have. I think I'd probably go Manny second, and then I go Merrill right behind him in the terms of like the most valuable players for the Padres.
My top 3 would be Fernando, Merrill, Manny. That would be my top 3.
And then after that, I think it's kind of up in the air. I guess you could say Luis Arraez 4, maybe, in terms of value. This is not factoring in contract either. But Merrill's definitely in the top 3 of most valuable players that the San Diego Padres can have.
And Adam in the chat there, isn't it as Manny goes, the team goes? That was when, I mean, you're talking about a time when Merrill was still a prospect, hadn't played in the majors yet.
Tatis was not playing.
Yeah, Tatis was out, whether it be because of injury or suspension. Cronenworth was your second best option. Profar was here, and then he wasn't, and then he came back. And so, yeah, that does have a little bit of ripple effect to it, but he's got help now. He has the help that he didn't have when that was the moniker.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll talk more about Jackson Merrill on his return, but when we come back, is this Padres bullpen actually championship caliber? Some people have said no. Or did we just see the first crack? Do you trust this bullpen in October, or is A.J. Preller going to need another arm? We'll talk about it when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number sports station 97.3 The Fan. AI, it's got Bucky's tags all over it. Coming soon to the 7 Seas, a Bucky's cruise. It's fake. Where's your Bucky's water bottle?
I will bring it tomorrow. I thought about it, but I was already in traffic on the way here, and I was not turning back around to go get it.
Somebody in the chat goes, talking about the Cowboys. Cowboys went and got George Pickens today.
Yep, I believe that's been on our bottom line all morning so far.
We've been talking about it all day, getting your phone calls on the George Pickens trade. Where we at, Cowboys fans?
Don't tempt them, please. Please do not tempt them. I do not feel like screening Cowboy calls all morning.
Oh my
As
God.
a Giants fan,
Could
I do
you
not
imagine?
feel like screening
I don't think
Cowboy
George
calls.
Pickens is going to be a big pickup for them. I have been seeing the memes though. It's hilarious. Like George Pickens. It's like memes of like fights. It's like George Pickens after Dak throws a pick to some DB 35 yards downfield. Hilarious. J-Mock in the chat. Don't tempt them. They're on your side there, Frank. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Mike in Mission Valley. Mike, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. Guys, you're pretty insightful. There's some crucial, I think, decisions to be made. This is a playoff team. It's not a championship team. And I'll tell you, one guy that I've always been bothered by is in pressure situations like you both were talking about. This is the problem with, and not only does pitching win championships in the clutch and in the pressure situations, the guys right now are starting to crack. You're starting to see, and that's Morejon. Your Peralta, of course, we know is not up to speed. But if you can make these 4 guys, in my opinion, Iglesias is a double play candidate, Bogarts as well, as until he's doing okay at the moment. But double play with Hayward, double play with Iglesias, double play with Diaz, and that's not because he's not a bad catcher. It's just this is why the Yankees did what they did yesterday. All the guys are, next guy up in the line doing 6 runs per inning, 8 runs per inning. Padres don't do that. We have to 1 and 2 at a time, 2 in, we rarely have a 3-run home run anywhere along the line because you don't have 3 guys, 4 guys, 6 guys to keep the line moving. And that's because you got the double play with Iglesias, an old veteran. And this is kind of my problem why they're a playoff, not a championship. You see what I'm saying? Pitching's going to win championships. So in July, in the July trading deadline, I got to get rid of this fat, these guys that are just kind of older veterans that are just dragging this line down. What do you think offensively? This is the Hayward problem. I think it's Iglesias. Morejon is not good in the pressure, and Peralta, no way. This is not a playoff, a championship team. Maybe a playoff if we're lucky.
Well, Adrian, Morejon, and Wandy Peralta are going to be pitching high-leverage situations in the postseason. You're going to get to a point where some of your starters will be coming out of the bullpen in the innings that they would pitch normally anyway. Morejon and Wandy Peralta will be pitching in mop-up duty, I would imagine. Well, mostly Peralta. I'm not ready to throw Morejon to the wolves yet. I think he's got potential. He does a lot better in low leverage situations than he does in high leverage situations. I think that might come with time. But those are players that when you have Suarez and Adam and Estrada at the back end of your bullpen, you're going to be okay, especially with the starting staff that you have. And then Adrian Morejon's kind of a swing guy in the middle. Your left-hander in the 7th inning. I don't mind him too much. I know he didn't have a great day yesterday. The thing with the veterans and some of the players that he mentioned in terms of that Mike mentioned in terms of double play candidates. There's a lot of those guys out there in Major League Baseball. You're not going to have a perfect roster. Now, that being said, I do think they got to go get a left fielder at the deadline. I think that's probably more important right now than a starting pitcher. I think it's more important than a bullpen piece because I think they need somebody in left field. The catching situation is what it is. They've already mentioned that that's a defensive position first. And they're doing a good job with the pitching staff, and so they ain't going to be moving around too much. Your catchers are what they are, and they're going to be the number 9 spot or 8 spot in a batting order more times than not. And most teams have that philosophy of it's a defensive first position, and if you get offense out of it, then you got a unicorn on your hands. Hayward will probably be, by the end of the season, if he's still on the team, a bench option than an everyday starter anyway. Especially if you go get a left fielder. And that's exactly what they need. They need to go get a left fielder. But the bullpen is the best bullpen in Major League Baseball. And even with the 10-run collapse last night, they still are the best bullpen in baseball. They've still allowed the least amount of runs in Major League Baseball. So for every guy that, like, the Padres have that are Morejon and Peralta, I mean, other teams have players that are worse than that. And again, you're not going to have a perfect roster. But yes, there are some pieces that they'd have to add in on the margins. I think they'd have to go try to get a left fielder. In terms of who you could bring in, it's very interesting. We talked about it with Chelsea Janes on yesterday. It could be set up for a not that great of a trade deadline because there's not a lot out there. Most rentals are on teams that are competing. The National League has 7 teams that are like clear-cut better than everybody else. The American League has a lot of teams that are very tight in terms of win-losses that might be contenders or think they're contenders at the trade deadline. It's going to be a seller's market. Somebody put in, can Gavin Sheets play left field? I don't want to see Gavin Sheets play every day. He can't play every day. We just saw that the last couple of days with injuries. He's an everyday player. You know, he made an adjustment, he said, on why he could, why he's been better as of late. But overall, I mean, Gavin Sheets is not an everyday player. When you look at this roster, they got a lot of platoon guys. That was kind of the Achilles heel of this Padres team. So Mike brings up some good points. I don't know where you're going to find some of these potential options. Iglesias is fine. He's serviceable. He's a high batting average guy. He's a good defensive player. But you look at some of the other players on the team, I guess, a lot of double play candidates. But the Padres are trying to eliminate that with their extra leads that they're taking. They're trying to eliminate that with some of the stolen bases, being aggressive on the base pass. But you look at some players on this team. I mean, Jason Hayward's not an everyday guy anymore. Gavin Sheets is an everyday guy anymore. Tyler Wade's not an everyday guy. Oscar Gonzalez is not an everyday guy. Jose Iglesias is not an everyday guy. So they have a lot of platoon guys, and they're putting together with the aggregate. Now, that being said, maybe they could go out there and swing a left fielder on the open market. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on that. It's only May 7th, and the Padres still got to get through a heck of a stretch in June before you can start thinking about the trade deadline. And there's a lot of teams that are going to go up and down over the next 2 months in terms of adding to this team. But right now, as constructed, I think the team's pretty good. I think they're a playoff caliber team. I think they can compete for a World Series based on the style of play that they have, which I think overcomes a lot of the problems that Mike put out there. But that being said, they could probably use some help. But that's a question for later on. Padres will take on the Yankees for the final game in New York coming up at 4:05. Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 3:05 with Sam Levitt. Before we move any further, though, it's time for today's sports thread. Here's Frank Marchese.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what do we got today on the sports thread?
We got a bunch of topics that we would not normally talk about. So let's start off with
number 1.
Horse racing has 3 big events every year: the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. The biggest draw for the Preakness and the Belmont is, can the Derby winner win the Triple Crown? Well, we know our answer for this year. Sovereignty will not run at the Preakness after beating journalism in the 151st Kentucky Derby over the weekend. There's no specific reason given for why Sovereignty will not race in the Preakness, but trainer Bill Mott said that they are preparing to run the Belmont. When asked if he was upset about missing the Preakness, a spokesperson for the horse said, nay. Putting aside the fact that I'm 5 years old mentally, is there any point in watching the Preakness or the Belmont now that the chase for the Triple Crown is officially off?
For casuals, no. There's no reason to watch. You watch the Kentucky Derby, you have a mint julep, it's a fun thing. It's the only time you really watch horse racing if you're a casual horse racing fan, which I think a lot of people are. Unless you go to Del Mar and have a good time. That's one day out of the year during the summertime or maybe in the fall when they run at Del Mar. But overall, in terms of watching horses, aside from betting, as mentioned in the chat, I'll watch the Kentucky Derby because it's the Kentucky Derby, and whoever wins, you're watching the next race to see if they win, and if they do, then you watch the third one, and if you don't, and if they lose, you're out. No Triple Crown, I'm out.
That's another thing, too. These races are run so close to each other. It's like a month and a half span, and these are the three biggest races.
Right.
It's
number 2.
But no, I'm not watching.
Yeah, no.
If they're not racing.
Not either. I want to preface this first by saying we are reporting only news that has a potential to affect sports and not taking sides on the issue.
You're flirting with disaster.
According to a proposed 2026 fiscal budget request to Congress that was released by the White House, there could potentially be a $8.25 million cut to research and education on traumatic brain injury. According to ESPN, all 5 staff members in charge of the main traumatic brain injury program were placed on administrative leave back on April 1st. This funding was first set aside as part of the annual budget in 1996 and has not been renewed after expiring at the end of last year. I must stress that absolutely nothing is official, as this is just a budget proposal. But Braden, this has the potential to put a major hold on innovations and discoveries that could help players recovering from concussions or who are suffering from post-concussion syndrome like CTE.
So are you asking if they should be funding it, or
what are the potential issues that losing this funding could possibly?
Well, I mean, obviously it can lead to not taking it seriously about traumatic brain injuries. I think they'll get the funding in some sort of capacity. Now, whether or not the government funds it or private funds it is two different things. But again, I think it's going to come down to whether or not you think the government should fund it or whether or not you think it should be funded privately for this research. And we'll see what they decide to do.
Yep, I agree.
Number 3.
All right, let's get back to the lighter stuff. As decisions have been made in Cleveland for the Cleveland Browns. The Brownies released their rookie numbers yesterday. Yay. All right.
So exciting.
Moving on. In a tweet yesterday with the headline, "Rookie numbers dropped before GTA 6. That joke misses the mark because GTA 6 now has announced their release date for May 26th. That is no longer unknown, which was the point of the joke. But anyway, number 5 overall pick, Mason Graham, takes number 94. But the interest lies in the quarterbacks as Dylan Gabriel takes number 5. And the man of the hour, Shedeur Sanders. Want to guess what number he took?
12.
Number 12 in honor of his mentor, Tom Brady.
He was also picked number 144.
Well, he's
12 times 12.
There you go.
There's probably a lot of other underlying things in there.
These numbers will be worn all throughout training camp, but does Sanders taking number 12 do anything for you as far as his arrogance, or are people just trying to make something out of nothing?
I think people are trying to make something out of nothing. Is he saying he's Tom Brady? He took 12. Tom Brady's has helped him out a lot in his career. I don't really have a problem with him taking 12. Anybody opposed to that? Do we care?
But the fact that an article was written that he took 12 because come on, is there nothing else? This is
such a reach.
This is why I hate the NFL. You have to keep it in the spotlight, whether it's a story or not.
Number 4.
Tell us how you really feel.
So there's not enough time. Quail Hollow will host the PGA Championship next weekend, and the field appears to be set. After players like John Daly and Rich Beam declined their invitations, the PGA has had to get a little creative with some of their names. Ricky Fowler was invited to Quail Hollow despite falling out of the top 125. Live golfers Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, and Dustin Johnson get invites to round out the field. Is it a bad sign for the PGA? Now, I know guys like Bryson and Koepka are regulars from Live. But is it a bad sign for the PGA that they're having to bend the rules to invite people outside of the top 125 to fill out the field for a major?
Is it a bad look because a lot of them are Live?
Well, yeah, a lot of them are in Live. Like I said, they had to make a special exemption to get Dustin Johnson an invite.
I don't know how much longer I can deal with this like pettiness that these two leagues have.
I agree.
I mean, just get all the best golfers into the best league, please.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out what you got to do in order to do that. The whole thing at the beginning was with Live. It was, sports washing, if you will, about the people that were spending the money on the players, on the golfers. But again, like if there was any league in other sports that had the money that Live did, like if there was enough money in a different football league that could pay Patrick Mahomes more than what he was making in the NFL, he's probably playing in the other league. And so now it's like we got to find a way to get those guys back into the PGA so we don't have to worry about that. That's why I like watching the Masters is great because you get to see everybody back and seeing this loaded field. But the PGA has been fine without the Live guys. They've been fine in terms of like their numbers.
If they've been fine though, why are you inviting these guys back?
Well, because they probably need they want to fill out the tournament. But I mean fine from a sense of people are watching. The ratings are still high. So that's the only thing that really matters. It's an entertainment business. As long as people are watching, that's all that really matters.
I see your point, but it doesn't feel good it doesn't look good that you're inviting big names who have fallen out of the top 125 or to fill out a major tournament. Like I understand the Truist tournament for this weekend, but a major, that doesn't look great.
Number 5.
All right, you guys saw my stress that I went through as Inter Milan sent me on a roller coaster of emotions to get themselves into the UEFA Champions League final against Barcelona yesterday. Well, in just a few moments on CBS, we find out who they will play on May 30th in Munich. Paris Saint-Germain from the French League 1 will take on Arsenal from the British Premier League in Paris, with PSG holding a 1-0 lead on aggregate. PSG has faced a British gauntlet so far in this tournament, knocking out Aston Villa and Liverpool, as well as a fellow French side, Brest, to get to this point, while Arsenal have defeated Dutch side PSV and European superpower Real Madrid. Arsenal needs to win by 2 goals in order to advance to the final, with away goals no longer being the tiebreaker. Who do you got, Braden, facing the Nerazzurri in the Champions League final? PSG or Arsenal?
I'll go with Arsenal.
So you're predicting a 2-goal win for Arsenal tonight.
Yep, that's all I'll say.
I got Arsenal as well.
Wow.
To take down Real Madrid, who have owned this tournament, to get here, that's got to mean something. And Arsenal has had a very good year in the Prem this year. I would take Arsenal 3-1 today.
J-Mock says PSG, baby.
Well, your opinion.
That's
your
like
opinion, sir.
your opinion, man. All right. It's all 5?
Yep, that is all 5.
All right. Made it through the sports thread today. Thank you very much, Frank. Got some news coming out with prospects, top 100 prospects, according to Baseball America. There's a Padre in the top 10. We'll talk about that when we come back. Plus, Jeff Passan predicts the next mega signings. Good ideas, bad ideas. Do these players deserve this kind of money? Think the Padres could sign some of these guys back? We'll talk more about that in the noon hour. Plus, get your phone calls, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Braden Surprenant show rolls on. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? Lunchtime hour on 97.3 The Fan. Braden Surprenant, Braden Show, alongside Frank Marchese. Thanks again for dialing up and tuning into us from 10 to 2. Padres and Yankees coming up at 4:05 p.m. Pacific time. Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 3:05, as we will have all your coverage for you with Gwen and Chris coming up after us. Sam Levitt jumping up at 3:05. And then, of course, the 4:05 start. Is there a reason you put on the papal conclave?
Because this is where PSG Arsenal was supposed to be, but I guess possibly a decision has been made.
No, it's still black smoke, dude.
I don't know why they, right at the start of the match, they would choose to give a meaningless update, but, you know, hey, this is what we do.
Well, no, I had to go through this. We watched this when I was in like fourth grade. That was when Pope Benedict was elected.
Yeah, I remember that, yes.
And I remember such a big... Well, I went to Catholic schools. It was like we had to watch... As soon as the white smoke started coming out of the chimney or whatever like that, it was like pandemonium. And we watched like the entire day of the Pope coverage. I just need that to happen before I go to Italy. It just needs to happen before I go to Rome and all that stuff. I don't need that to be happening while I'm there.
Vatican's northeast of it in Italy, so that's...
Well, I mean, we're going.
It wouldn't affect your trip to Rome. It wouldn't affect Milan.
Well, we're going to the Vatican at some point on this.
There you go.
On this trip. So yes, it would.
Look at the guy there in the middle with the Calgary Flames shirt. That's awesome.
Hey, good for him. He's probably on vacation. This year's Jubilee too. I didn't know that was a thing either. So it's just going to be loads of people there. Get it done. I thought, but like if you're going to go breaking news on
Something would have
CBS,
happened.
you would think it'd have the white smoke. It's still black smoke. So I don't know what that is. You're getting hosed on your soccer right now.
Breaking news. Nothing happened.
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Have they just started today? Like, I don't know what the...
I don't know.
Come on, man. You're Italian. I guess I should know as the Italian and the Catholic in the group here. I do not. But that's not sports, so we're going to move back on to our sports talk conversation. Talking about a lot of different things. I do want to get you updated on this. We have a Chihuahuas update.
We do have an El Paso Chihuahuas update.
You got our Chihuahuas update?
I do. Currently middle of the sixth inning, 7-3 El Paso. Jake Cronenworth. There we go. Now we get soccer on. Jake Cronenworth DHing today after playing second base yesterday. 1 for 2 runs scored with a walk. He had 3 walks yesterday, as well as 3 runs scored. Tirso Ornelas also 3 for 3, 2 runs scored, has a double. So Jake Cronenworth in his second of 2 planned rehab starts, another hit.
All right.
2 more runs scored.
Again, the big question of the day for today's show has been, what kind of impact George Pickens is going to have on the Dallas Cowboys. But our second big topic that we've had today is, what's the roster move going to be like on Friday when Jake Cronenworth comes back? I'd imagine it's going to be like Oscar Gonzalez. That would be my guess, if I had to guess.
Yeah, that's kind of what we've been surmising so far, that it would be Oscar Gonzalez, that he would be the most likely suspect to go down. I mean, if you want to try to make a case for Tyler Wade, the guy didn't make the opening day roster to begin with. So, I mean, there are arguments you can make for some of these fringe guys, but I think the obvious, at least to me, the obvious decision to go down would be Oscar Gonzalez.
I would think so too. Baseball America released their top 100 prospects. You usually get this a couple of times a year. And on the latest top 100 prospects, we have a Padre in the top 10. Anybody want to take a wild guess who that is?
Padre in the top 10?
Yes.
Leo DeVries.
Yes, of course. Leo DeVries comes in at number 7 on the latest top 100 Baseball America top 100 prospects. A prospect that's going to be talked about. I mean, he's been hyped up a lot, but I think he's going to be the real deal for the San Diego Padres coming up. And he's doing a great job in high A right now in Fort Wayne. I don't know how much longer he's going to be there before they decide to move him up to Double A. But Leo's continuing to play really good baseball for the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. Now, his defense hasn't been great. He's made a lot of errors. But offensively, there's a reason why they call him El Mutante. The Mutant. That was the latest update that we had. I want to dive into this, though. We kind of briefly talked about it yesterday when it comes to future contracts being dished out. Players that should get $100 million, players that should get $200 million, players should get $300 million, $400, $500, $600 million. Total contract. Jeff Passan laid out who would get said contracts. He does want to mention, note included in the below list are players who already are part of the 9-figure club, even if they're in line for another $100 million plus deal. Those include Bobby Witt Jr., Corbin Carroll, Jackson Merrill, Yordan Alvarez, Ronald Acuna Jr., Garrett Crochet, and Alex Bregman. $100 million players for this year's class. Pete Alonso, Michael King, Dylan Cease, Zach Gallen, Framber Valdez, Bo Bichette, Kyle Schwarber. Contenders, Luis Arraez, Jack Flaherty, Cedric Mullins, Josh Naylor. The excerpt on Michael King. 2 years ago, King was a reliever for the New York Yankees. He's the best pitcher in the class. His sinker and slider have elite movement, and his command of his 4-pitch arsenal is exceptional. He strikes out oodles of hitters, maintains his velocity, and could wind up with a bigger deal in free agency than his teammate with flashier stuff, who's listed next on the list, in Dylan Cease. Cease has long been considered the gem of the strong core or crop of starters scheduled to hit free agency after the season, and it's easy to see why. His slider is a weapon. His fastball sits at 97. His stuff is nasty, but he never has been able to avoid walks, and that will scare away some suitors. Cease is much better than a 5.61 ERA currently spots, and he should get a 5+ year deal, but $200 million plus is probably out of the reach because of the free passes. $100 million pitcher for Michael King, $100 million pitcher for Dylan Cease. Is that affordable for the San Diego Padres? Can you get Michael King under contract for the same type of contract that you gave Joe Musgrove? Joe Musgrove got a 5-year, $100 million deal. Can you get Michael King for that? Or are you going to have to go up to $150? 5-year, $150 million deal? $30 million a year? You have $30 million a year pitcher, Michael King?
Like I said, if I have to choose between, if I had money for only one and I had to choose between King and Cease, it would be King to get that money over Dylan Cease, at least right now.
I'd pick King for sure if I had to pick between the two. I don't think the Padres are in a spot where they could give both King and Cease $100 million. They mentioned with Cease, with all the free pass that he gives out, that he's not going to be a $200 million pitcher, which is interesting.
How much did Blake Snell just get?
Blake Snell got a decent amount from the Dodgers, didn't he? Let's see. Blake Snell from LA.
Talk about a guy who walks people.
5-year, $182 million with a lot of deferred money.
Close enough.
He's getting $36 a year. Does Michael King get 30 a year, 35 a year? I mean, he's only been a starting pitcher for a year and 2 months.
I think he's actually going to garner a little bit more.
He's 30 years old.
Because if you look at what he did, if you look at what happened with him through this whole arbitration offseason thing, holding out, not holding out because he wanted more money from the Padres necessarily, but holding out because he didn't want to be, oh, well, Padres only gave Michael King this amount, so why aren't you taking this amount for a similar thing that we're asking you to do for some guy in the future? So I have a feeling that if you're looking at a number, not because I think he's greedy and not because I don't think he's worth it, I think whatever number range you're looking at, I think Michael King would be on the higher end of that range. Because he doesn't want to be the example as to why you can lowball somebody else in the future. And he showed that this offseason.
Is Michael King a $200 million pitcher?
If he keeps doing what he did last year and this year, I wouldn't see why not.
I think the only one that would give him $200 million is the New York Yankees. There's not a lot of $200 million pitchers out there. I mean, even Blake Snell's not a $200 million pitcher. You look at guys on the New York Yankees that, sign these gigantic contracts. Garrett Cole's a $324 million pitcher. I guess, Max Fried just got a contract as a left-hander, 8 years, $218 million. An 8-year contract for a 31-year-old is pretty long.
Right, but you've also you are locking up the ace of your rotation. So if you think that Michael King has the potential to be your number one guy, your opening day starter for the next 5 or 6 years, yeah, I think he's worth it. I think he would be worth that money.
Well, if Jeff Passan has him listed as a $100 million pitcher, which means he's not going to make 200, even if you gave him like $190 million, and you do it over 6 years, that's a $32 million pitcher, $32 million a year for 6 years. He's 30. You pay him until he's 36.
I'd be okay with that.
I'd be okay with that too. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that play into him not being a $200 million a year pitcher. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he doesn't have the experience as a starter as much as others do. I mean, if he's in that category, I think the Padres can't afford a guy like Michael King.
Is this his last or second to last year of arbitration?
King?
Yeah.
This is last.
Yeah.
He's a free agent at the end of the year.
Okay.
He's got a $15 million mutual option next year that he won't take.
No.
$31 million? I don't know. Can the Padres afford that? He'd be the highest paid pitcher on the staff. And he'd be, come 2027 or whatever, he'd be the highest paid player on the staff, on the team at $31.6 million a year.
I think you have a better chance at getting him at a lower price if you do it during the season. If you try to get it done like around the All-Star break, you have a better chance at getting him at your price.
I mean, we've been talking to the Yankees personnel and people that cover the Yankees. They want him back. Yankees want him back.
I saw somebody in the chat ask if Michael King is a Boris client. He's a XL Sports Management.
Oh, there you go. Maybe you can get him for cheaper. I think Dylan Cease is pitching his way out of dollars right now.
Yes.
Maybe there might be a situation you get both. Who else is on this hundreds of millions of dollar list? Any of these players worth that kind of money for the Padres in the future? I mean, we're talking about a lot of players out there that fans want to see replace some of the guys they currently have. We'll see if we can find some of those solutions for you when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. going to talk more about this Jeff Passan predictions for the next mega signing. Some of these guys projected to get like $100 million is utterly ridiculous, just in general. But that's the whole point of this exercise right now is basically to tell you what the new going rate is for players. And the new going rate for players is a lot higher than what you would expect. It goes back to my entire Xander Bogaerts conversation that I had last week, 2 weeks ago. It's going to be the going rate for players. I mean, if you think about just in general, a simple term, for players that make $100 million or more, if you give him a 5-year deal, he's a $20 million a year ball player. This is the list of players that are expected to get at least $100 million. Pete Alonso, Michael King, Dylan Cease, Zach Gallen, Framber Valdez, Bo Bichette, Kyle Schwarber, Luis Ariz, Jack Flaherty, Cedric Mullins, Josh Naylor. All would be $20 million a year over a 5-year span. There's a lot of players on there that I don't think are worth 20. Like, you wouldn't give $20 million a year to. And that's assuming you just give them a 5-year deal. A lot of these guys you don't want to give anybody. You want to give a 5-year deal to based on their age. You look at the class of 2026, 2027. $100 million deals. Freddie Peralta. Randy Arozarena. Randy will be 32 years old when he signs his next contract. You got to pay him till he's 37, $20 million a year if you give him a 5-year deal. If he's worth $100 million and you only give him a 3-year deal, that's a $33 million a year player. Alec Baum? Phillies fans want to run Alec Baum out of town right now. You going to give that guy $20 million a year? Jazz Chisholm Jr., going to give him $20 million a year for 5 years? Adolis Garcia, Ian Happ, Nico Horner, Gavin Lux, Seiya Suzuki, Dalton Varsho. Then you look at the class of 27-28. Adley Rutschman, that makes some sense. He's dropping. He was expected to be a $300 million a year player. Now it's dropped to $200 million a year after last season. And right now it might be down to $100 million a year with the start he's had. Jeremy Pena. Stephen Kwan. Ozzie Albies. Obviously, Albies ain't getting $100 million. Brendan Donovan. Isaac Paredes. Bryson Stott. Luis Robert Jr., $20 million a year for 5 years for those guys? You got older players, too. By the time they become in a spot where they become free agents, the list of the 2028 or 2029 or later class has guys like Junior Caminero, Mason Wynn, CJ Abrams, Pete Crow Armstrong. I mean, a lot of those guys right now you'd probably give $100 million to. Not when they become free agents. Look at guys like Geraldo Perdomo, Jaron Duran, and then this huge list of names that are on there. All $100 million a year guys. Anthony Volpe. I've watched Anthony Volpe play the last 2 days. Kidding me? $20 million a year? 3 or 4 years from now? You look at the $200 million a year contracts for this next upcoming deal or whatever. O'Neal Cruz, Riley Green. You're going to have pitchers like Roki Sasaki, Spencer Strider, Logan Gilbert. Guy just signed a contract extension, and Christian Campbell off to a good start. Might be a $200 million a year player. $300 million a year player. James Wood, Wyatt Langford, Jackson Churio. Looking at 2 pitchers that could be $400 million a year players. Turek Skubal, Paul Skeens. $500 million a year players, Kyle Tucker, Ellie De La Cruz, and then your one $600 million a year player in Gunnar Henderson. I'm telling you right now, I said it a couple of years ago, the Bogaerts contract is not going to look that poor when he ends up being like the 20th best paid shortstop. And even though he's probably going to be a first baseman in the future, I mean, he's probably going to be like in middle of the road in terms of contracts the way these are showing up. And it shows why it's so important to get guys like Jackson Merrill under contract while he's young, why the Braves did what they did. Because a lot of these players that are expected to get these big contracts will never, ever live up to their contract. It's very rare that they do. I think you've gotten that with Manny Machado so far, at least on his first deal. We'll see how this extension does. But you can't, it's hard to win with these monstrosity contracts. And again, the way baseball is set up with 6 years of control once they get pulled up, I mean, most players at the major league level are not going to be free agents until they're 30, 31, 32 years old. And then they're going to get their big deal. I mean, you have Jackson Merrill signed until he's about 29 with his contract extension, if I'm not mistaken. Jackson Merrill is signed until 2034, which is 9 years from now, which means he'll be 31. I mean, he's still going to get another deal at 31, but is he going to get that $100 million, $200 million on top of this? And you play him for his, age 31 through 38 season, 31 through 37 season? These contracts don't make a lot of sense for these players that enter at 29, 30, 31 to 33 years old, even though that's what the value of those players are. We talked about it with swing speed last week. I mean, where your swing speed just completely collapses as you get past age 32 season. And most of the time, you are paying for these guys for what they did, not what they're going to do. And I think the Padres are done with those contracts. I think Xander Bogaerts is probably the last contract the Padres signed that's going to be one of those paid for what you did and not what you're going to do in a Padres uniform. Because extensions, you're paying those guys for what you're expected to get during those years, like Fernando, like Jackson Merrill. I can't imagine them signing these big time deals in the future. Not when you got some players coming up through the minor leagues that you should probably try to have part of your organization for a long time, like a Leo DeVries or an Ethan Salas. Shows the importance of drafting and developing, shows the importance of being able to find your own talent and getting a lot of young guys to come up and play at younger ages and get the most out of them before they become free agents. Because look at the free agent numbers for a lot of these guys. They're in position where I don't know why you would sign those contracts. And that's why I continue to say, I mean, you can't evaluate some of the contracts and thinking it like $25 million a year for a player means he's your best player on the team. I mean, $25 million a year is going to be like an average player in the next 3, 4, 5 years. And I don't think I'm going out on a limb saying that. It was really interesting stuff that Jeff Passan put out with this on the new mega signings. Again, a couple of Padres are listed on there. We talked about it with King and Cease in the last segment. Michael King's a $100 million pitcher. I'd 100% give him anything under $200 million. I bet you could probably get $200 million. I'm surprised that Jeff Passan has him under $200 million, and I am surprised that they have Dylan Cease in that position too. Might make it a little bit more affordable to keep some of these guys at the end of the year. Somebody asked in the chat, did the Dodgers do it right by signing Mookie, Freeman, and Ohtani? They get some of the better players. They got a World Series out of it. But again, those players are going to decline eventually. Father Time is undefeated. The thing that balances them out is they got young players coming up through the minor leagues that usually fill in when guys go down. The Padres have players go down, and you saw a massive difference between the team that filled in and the team that they had rolling out there every day. The Dodgers have Freeman go down, or Teoscar Hernandez, who just went down, and they don't really miss a beat because they have the resources to do both. They can buy their way out of contracts. Padres can't necessarily do that. We're on a roll, by the way, on our lunchtime hour food conversations. We influence people to eat a lot of different foods that they would not have today. Like J-Mock in the chat. I got a chicken quesadilla with sour cream for lunch because we talked about it. Need some food sponsors here in the lunchtime hour. When we come back, we'll keep you updated on the Stanley Cup playoffs and the NBA playoffs. Some games last night, some games tonight. Need some contestants for a midday sports standoff. Plus, first MVP votes are out. We got a Padre leading the way in the National League. We'll talk about it when we come back. Braden Surprenant, Shildt standings on Sports Station 97 to the Fan. Coast, sometimes you get lucky. San Diego Padres have reinstated Sean Reynolds from the 15-day injured list and have optioned Ryan Bergert to AAA El Paso. So the Padres have gotten some reinforcements in the bullpen, a bullpen that people were ready to jump ship on already. Can't believe that last night. I mean, I can and I can't. The negative comments after losses are just so funny sometimes. And it's every player. Like there's only like 3 players that are safe from any type of criticism. But last night it was just like, this guy sucks. This guy sucks. This guy sucks. We have the best bullpen, but this guy sucks. I'm like, well, if this guy, and this guy all suck in the bull, how good is the bullpen really? I'm trying to use that logic with some of the people on social media. I'll take this bullpen against any bullpen in Major League Baseball. I don't care if they give up 10 runs in one inning or not.
Braden, you can't logic nameless, faceless people on the interwebs.
I know. It's brutal. Wandy Peralta, get rid of this guy. Get rid of Adrian Morejon. Get rid of this guy. Get rid of that guy. This is why Mike Shildt says the things he says in media and press conferences. I like what he has to say now. He just goes well, just go look it up. I don't need to tell you. Look it up. He's been great. Look it up. I agree. I mean, what a difference 2 days make. Yesterday's show was greatest team ever. Today's show is they got to fix this problem. They got all these holes here. They got all these holes there. It's kind of funny. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Got a month into the season. First month plus of the 2025 MLB season has already produced some MVP-like performances from dozens of players that's reflected in MLB.com's first MVP poll this season. They put this out yesterday. A total of 46 experts cast ballots for early MVP picks in the American and National Leagues, and the results contain lots of familiar names, but also plenty of noisemakers you probably wouldn't have predicted before the season. 50 players received at least one vote between the two leagues, 30 in the American League, 20 in the National League. In the American League, the early favorite is clear. It's unanimous, in fact. But in the National League, the race is wide open. It's important to point out that votes were based not just on performances so far, but also how things are expected to play out over the rest of the season. Very notable, I would say. Voters ranked their top 5 picks in each league on a 5-4-3-2-1 scale. 5 points for first place, 4 for second, 3 for third, and so on and so forth. I don't want to spend too much time on the American League. Aaron Judge got picked number 1, 46 first place votes. That's going to be as obvious as it gets.
Who would have thought?
Guy was hitting 423 through Sunday. Led all of baseball in hits, runs, RBIs, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and obviously OPS. It figures that he also leads in both Baseball Reference and Fangraphs version of WAR, 3.1 B WAR, and a 3.4 F WAR. Judge had a 14-game hitting streak entering Monday and hit 474 with a 1348 OPS during that stretch, which included 9 multi-hit games, mind-blowing through Sunday. Judge is on pace for 481 total bases, which would smash the all-time single season record of 457 set by Babe Ruth in 1921. He is a gigantic player playing in a very small ballpark, but he does a very good job at hitting for a high average, hitting with power, leads so many offensive categories. It's no doubt that Aaron Judge will probably be the MVP of the American League. In the National League, now Bobby Witt Jr., Alex Bregman, Cal Raleigh, Jose Ramirez gave a run for their money. Any of those names, Frank, stick out to you as giving Aaron Judge a threat? You have to pick one of those 4.
Bobby Witt Jr.
Yes. I think that's the only answer. Alex Bregman's done well, but I don't think it's more than what Aaron Judge can do. Cal Raleigh is off to a good start. It'd be hard to have him outdo Judge when he's not hitting for a high average. It's mostly power numbers. Jose Ramirez is a great baseball player. He's very under the radar in terms of overall stardom. when you list like superstars in Major League Baseball, he's always the one that seems to get left behind.
Yeah, because why would you watch AL Central Baseball on a Wednesday afternoon?
In the middle of the day. Yeah, true. You can have the Royals play the Guardians, which has Bobby Witt Jr. and Jose Ramirez, and I still wouldn't be interested. As for the National League, Fernando Tatis Jr. came in number 1 with the most votes, but he did not have the most first-place votes. The Polar Bear did, with 17 first-place votes. Alonso, already with a 4-time All-Star, is having his best season yet through 35 games in 2025. Came into Monday leading the National League with a 344 average and an 1124 OPS, and tied for Major League Baseball in doubles. Home run pop is still there, 8 so far, but he's become much more of a complete hitter. Consider this, he's never had another 35-game stretch within a single season in which he hit 344 or better. Like Tatis, Alonso is on pace for a 10-plus F4 season. I still think Fernando's the best player in the National League. Ohtani hasn't pitched yet. He comes in at number 3 with 8 first-place votes. Kyle Tucker comes in 4th. He had 4 first-place votes. Corbin Carroll came in 5th. He didn't have any first-place votes. But Fernando, with 16 first-place votes and the most voting overall, was voted as the current MVP leader in the National League. I don't think he's got too much of a setback the last couple of nights in New York, although he did go 2 for 4 yesterday. But he's back to hitting like a superstar. 328 average through Sunday, pacing all NL outfielders, and his 973 OPS ranking 3rd among all NL players. He had 8 homers and 8 stolen bases entering Monday, putting him on pace for his first 40-40 season. Tatis is already at a 2.1 WAR this season, according to the Fangraphs model, and he's on pace to finish with a 10.6 WAR. He's an MVP level player. I think he's the best player in the field more times than not. And honestly, with everything that Judge does, and I might be biased, I like what Fernando can bring defensively and from a running game perspective more than Aaron Judge, who just really obliterates everybody else out of the water when it comes to offensive production. This Padres team is going to have a lot of success in October if Fernando Tatis Jr. is ultimately the MVP of the season. And I think he could definitely be that. Again, only a month in. They're probably going to do this again in May, and they'll do it again in June, and do it again in July. Yes, it is obviously too early for MVP talk, but some players are off to some pretty good starts, including Fernando. Now, without further ado, it's time for our Midday Sports Standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, who we got playing today?
We today have a gentleman by the name of Brad in Oceanside. Brad, how you doing today?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. So you are today's contestant for the game. You do know the rules, yes?
Yeah.
All right. So for those of you who are listening maybe for the first time, every question of this topic has multiple answers. If you get 3 wrong, then you are out. Today is an example of what happens when I forget to do it last night and have to think of something in a 5-minute crunch. Today's topic is going to be Padres career top 10 leaders, WAR for pitchers. So the 10 pitchers in Padre history that have the highest career WAR.
That's in a Padres uniform?
In a Padres uniform, yes. So we will start.
All right.
Brad, you have the first crack.
Jake Peavy.
Jake Peavy, number 2.
Second highest Padre player of WAR?
Yes.
For pitchers?
24.8.
I'd go with Randy Jones.
Randy Jones, number 5. Brad.
Kevin Brown.
Kevin Brown, not in the top 10. Braden.
This is based on career, right? Not
Yes,
just one
career
season.
top 10 leaders in WAR for pitchers.
It might not seem like this because he's a bullpen guy, but Trevor Hoffman.
Number 1. Brad.
Career. Joe Musgrove.
Joe Musgrove is not on the list. Braden.
So we have Hoffman, we have PV, and we have Randy.
Yep.
What about Andy Ashby?
Number 3. Brad.
How about Chris Young?
Chris Young is not on the list,
Ah.
unfortunately.
Poor Brad. A lot of those are recent pitchers. My next guess would have been Eric Shao.
Yes, number 7.
And then I was done.
So Hoffman, PV, Ashby, Andy
Bennis.
Yes, Bennis, thank you. Randy Jones, Ed Whitson, Eric Shao, Joey Hamilton, Greg Harris, and Bruce Hurst.
Bruce Hurst.
Those are
Wow.
your top 10.
Like I said, I would have been out after I was running out. Speaking of pitchers, as mentioned before, Padres have reinstated Sean Reynolds from the 15-day injured list. Ryan Bergert has been sent down to AAA El Paso. Jake Cronenworth's done for the day, correct?
Yes, Jake Cronenworth is done for the day. That 1 for 2 with 2 runs scored and a walk. That was it. He was then pinch hit for by Bryce Johnson.
All right. Should see him on Friday.
As expected, yes.
As expected. Padres getting even more full strength. Tonight, I like to see him bounce back a little bit. I think they kind of the one inning last night was kind of an anomaly. It is what it is. You're going to have those in baseball. No reason to panic. No reason to panic at all when it comes to the bullpen. Still think it's one of the better bullpens in Major League Baseball. In fact, statistically, it is the best bullpen in Major League Baseball. I saw in the chat, Martine. I'm a true blue Dodger fan, but I'd love to have the Padres bullpen. Could be worse, guys. You could have the Dodgers bullpen, I guess.
That is called a rational sports fan, is what that is.
Let's not get too crazy. He is a Dodger fan after all.
If you can admit that any part of your rival is good and that you would rather have that over your team, that's a rational sports fan. That is someone you can have a conversation with.
All right, Mr. Met. What is something the Phillies have that you don't have that you would like to have?
So this is where I put my foot in my own mouth here.
Rational. Would we consider Frank? I would consider Frank a rational sports fan. Unless it involves Mr. Met. You wouldn't want to have Bryce Harper?
I wish for those prime years, I wish the Mets would have had Ryan Howard.
Okay.
That's the one. I wish the Mets would have had Ryan Howard for those prime years.
Go Aztecs on Twitch. Dodgers fans and rational, not in the same sentence. New York Giants, Frank. Do we wish you had George Pickens right now?
I'm good.
Anything the Cowboys would have that you would like to have?
I wish I didn't have Jackson Dart right about now. I'm
still upset about that, huh?
Yes. I'm still upset.
Jackson Dart's going to be fine.
Again, it's nothing against him.
You just
the
wanted Arch
direction.
Manning.
Exactly. It was the direction. Why would you sign 2 quarterbacks if you were just going to draft one? Doesn't make sense.
The prophecy did not. It didn't happen. Giants fans were hoping for it. I want to join the show today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs when we come back with Brett Siegel, National NBA Insider. Get you updated on that. That was a fun game last night between the Pacers and the Cavs. How about that? We had Don La Greca on earlier, and he mentioned that there's only one team in all of the NBA and NHL that won at home in the second round. None in the NBA. The NBA home teams in the second round, in the first two games, have not won yet. Now, there's a couple of game twos tonight. In college football, we got to change the playoff format when this happens. In the NBA, it's like, oh, this is great. It's different. What are your thoughts on that?
Mine, or were you putting that out for the callers?
I'm asking you.
Okay, see that again. I gotta work on figuring out the cadence.
I'm keeping you on on your toes.
For me, for me, it's figure out different teams to put in the college playoff. That would be a good start. Then you wouldn't have to worry about home and away. But
I'd put more teams in it for sure. I think it's the least of their problems with the seeding.
I agree, but it's funny how you spend so much time emphasizing over the home court advantage or the home ice advantage or the home field advantage, and it's just completely gone away. Like every single time I look at one of these scores, or every single time I type in one of these scores for our ticker at the bottom, it's always the away team getting the win. It's home field, ice, court doesn't really seem to matter this year.
It doesn't, which is why I didn't mind the All-Star game determining who was the home team in the World Series. Want to know why? It only matters one game. It's only one game. Who gets to host Game 7 is all that it really is.
Yep.
At least those guys were playing hard during the All-Star game. Now they don't anymore. Now it's just back to being a dog and pony show.
That's why I'm sure we'll get to it again, but there should not be any All-Star games, period. It should be, of course, pick your All-Stars, pick the best players from the league, but put them in a skills competition instead because people actually care. People actually watch. You're not trying in the games. That's why you get 250 to 240 scores in the NBA All-Star game.
Or you have the frozen face-off, or whatever it's called.
You can't overdo that, though.
Do it once every couple of years.
Yes. Yeah, that's an Olympic style thing. You can't overdo it because then, just like what speaking of the NHL, they overdid it with the Winter Classic. Now it's not just
cool anymore.
It's not just one game. It's every year, and now they have a full month stadium series for it. They oversaturated the market.
I agree. Brett Siegel will be on when we come back. We will also dive more into Padres baseball. Is Mike Shildt the best Padres manager since Bruce Bochy? Jackson Merrill's return. Is he already the Padres' most valuable position player? What to do with the bullpen? Bullpen can win in October. We'll talk all about that. Plus, Brett Siegel when we come back. Final hour of the Braden Surprenant Show. Earlier on in the show, alongside Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant, and joining us now on the Braden Surprenant Show is a gentleman that we have had on multiple times. He is a national NBA insider and reporter for Clutch Points. His name is Brett Siegel, and he always has us dialed in on what's going on in the NBA. Brett, what's going on? How's your playoff Wednesday going? We have Brett? Huh. I'll try it again in a second. He's got the red dot on the call screener. So while Frank's figuring that out, we'll keep you updated on what's going on with the Padres. Obviously, we'll start at 4:05 with the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show at 3:05. We got Brett back, or that we'll have to recall him. We talked about kind of reset here. Later on in this hour, we're going to dive deeper into Mike Shildt and what he has been for the San Diego Padres as a manager. We'll also talk about Jackson Merrill's return. We'll dive into the bullpen a little bit more, and a lot of people were upset about the way the bullpen was yesterday. But that being said, you know, it is what it is. You're going to get some bad games every once in a while, your bullpen. But I think we are able to track Siegel back down here. So, Brett Siegel, national NBA insider and reporter for Clutch Points, joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Brett, what's going on, man?
Hey, Braden, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. All right, good to have you back on the show. I'm sure you're dialed into some playoff basketball here in the NBA. Last night, had a thriller between the Pacers and the Cavs. You saw Donovan Mitchell have a monster night with some serious athletic plays, 48 points, but it wasn't good enough. Pacers just kind of stayed close the entire time and hit the late shot by Halliburton to steal a victory from Cleveland and continue their winning streak on the road. What did you take? What were your biggest takeaways out of Game 2 between the Pacers and the Cavs last night?
I don't think thriller is the best word to describe it. I think insanity from the Cavs perspective, because you're up 7 points, under a minute left, under 50 seconds left. You're up 7 points, and there's no reason you should lose this game. I mean, you had that Aaron Nesmith dunk and then the foul on Donovan Mitchell right under a minute left, cut the lead to 5, and then from that point on, it just seemed like the Cavaliers forgot to play basketball, which is baffling because this is a 64-win team. Granted, they were without DeAndre Hunter, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley, but still, Donovan Mitchell, 48 points. He was in control of this game. All the role players were playing well up until those final 40, 30 seconds, and then they just unraveled. And now this series was supposed to be 1-1 after Game 2 with the way it was looking. Now it's 2-0. And it's heading to Indiana, where it could easily be 3-0 with how well the Pacers are playing. You have to give Rick Carlisle and his staff a lot of credit and give that team a lot of credit for the fight that they showed, especially Tyrese Halliburton in this one. He went down with an injury, had x-rays at halftime, and still played, and ultimately hit the game-winning shot there at the end. But what a complete collapse by the Cavs. I was pretty speechless seeing that one unfold, and quite honestly, I don't really have an answer for you about what the Cavs need to do moving forward or what's going to happen, because it seems like all the momentum in this series is in the Pacers' favor. They're not going to feel sorry for the Cavaliers because they're without players, and that's even another question mark about all these injuries that are stacking up for the Cavs, and now Donovan Mitchell was shaken up at the end of Game 2. It just seems like literally everything that could have gone wrong for Cleveland in the first 2 games of this series has gone wrong.
We're talking with Brett Siegel, a national NBA insider and reporter. Talked about with Cleveland, they've now collapsed in 2 straight fourth quarters. What have you noticed that's been breaking down late with the Cavs?
It's the effort on defense. You look at the first half. The first quarter was fantastic for Cleveland. Obviously, they let the Pacers get back in the second quarter. But I think for the most part, for the first 24, 36 minutes, we could say, the Cavs defense was holding up, and they were making adjustments at the right moments. They were limiting the Pacers' opportunities from the three-point line. But again, it goes back to Game 1 where the Pacers were pushing in transition. They were getting out, looking to score quickly, and they were finding opportunities in the lane. That continued in Game 2, and it allowed them to just kind of hang around until they finally made their push there at the end. The Cavaliers have raveled. They weren't able to get rebounds. They weren't able to contain the ball. They kept turning it over, leading to more quick opportunities for the Pacers. And that ultimately proved to be the difference in this one. And now looking ahead to game 3, well, what needs to change for the Cavs? They just need to take care of the basketball. They need to limit their opponent from getting in the lane, and they just need to be themselves. You can't look at this series anymore if you're the Cavs as you're down 2-0. You just have to take it one game at a time and understand that up and down your roster, you are the better team on paper. You proved to be the better team during the regular season. Now that needs to translate into the game. But I'll tell you this, Braden, it is not looking good for them right now, and I would not be shocked if they went down 3-0.
We're talking with Brett Siegel, who's a national NBA insider and reporter for Clutch Points. Let's transition over to the Western Conference from last night. Warriors were able to handle the Timberwolves in game 2, and they did it without Steph Curry. Steph Curry left with a hamstring strain. And, you heard Van Gundy last night talk about one of the coaches that, during March Madness said when players go down, you need another player to be a tourniquet to stop the bleeding. Jimmy Butler needed to be that guy, and it looked like he was that guy last night. They're up 2-0, but how do the Warriors continue this series if they potentially have to be without Steph Curry?
Well, they are going to be without Steph Curry. He has a left hamstring strain. It's a grade 1 strain. The Warriors said today that he will be reevaluated in 1 week, meaning he is out for games 2, 3, and 4 of this series. And now the Warriors moving forward, their mindset has to be that they're not going to have Curry back at this series. And could he be back? Potentially. It really depends on how he responds to treatment and how he's feeling once he's reevaluated next Tuesday, next Wednesday. But we're not looking at his return until a game, potentially game 5, 6, or 7. And at that point, we already know what direction the series is going. The Warriors were able to steal game 1. It's a huge win for them because if they lost this and they lost Steph Curry, that's almost a death sentence in this series. They give themselves a little bit of life. And even if they lose game 2, heading back to San Francisco, tied at 1-1 wouldn't be all that end of the world-ish for the Warriors, especially since you have Jimmy Butler and you have guys like Buddy Hield and Kevon Looney, Gary Payton II stepping up off the bench. So what needs to change for the Warriors moving forward now that you don't have Buddy Hield? It's going to be a conglomerate of players. You're going to have guys like Pat Spencer step into a bigger role. We'll see what happens with Moses Moody because he hasn't been productive the last 2 games, but will Steve Kerr go to him or will he potentially go to a Jonathan Kuminga who didn't play much in the Rockets series, but he played 13 minutes last night against the Timberwolves, scored 7 points. So there's going to be a lot of moving parts here. They're going to try a lot of different combinations, a lot of different players, but it really does come down to if Jimmy Butler can now get the help that he needs because the Timberwolves are really going to focus in on him. They're going to limit his opportunities of driving to the lane and force some of these other guys to make shots. So it's going to come down to guys like Buddy Hield and Brandon Podziemski making shots from the perimeter to keep the Warriors alive.
Talk about the Timberwolves. What did you make of Anthony Edwards' first half no-show yesterday? Just a bad night, or Golden State kind of keep him at bay?
It was a little bit of both. We saw as Anthony Edwards was constantly driving to the lane or looking for those open shots in the first half, the Warriors were just closing the gaps. They had 3 guys flocking to the ball, forcing the pass to go outside, and he just never could get going. He couldn't get in a groove, and the open shots that he was taking weren't going down. And it resulted in a little bit of frustration for Edwards. The first time I think that we've seen that from him this postseason, but he still found other ways to impact the game. He was stepping up defensively in the second half. He had a team-high 14 rebounds. And even though he only made 1 3-point shot and he was 9 for 22 from the floor, he still ended up with 23 points in this one. So I think that moving forward, this was a little bit on the Warriors defense. They looked good and they played really well through the first 3 quarters. But it was also the shooting woes for Minnesota. We're not going to see another game like this where they go 5 for 29 from 3-point range and shoot under 40% from the floor. The Warriors are going to look to slow them down now, and they're really going to look to control the pace with Steph Curry being out. But the Minnesota Timberwolves, it's up to them to take the fight now on offense and try to speed things up, knowing that Steph Curry's not there to have one of those second-half flurries.
We got a couple of games tonight as we talk with Brett Siegel, a national NBA insider and reporter for Clutch Points. Starting with the Knicks and the Celtics. Again, home teams are not doing very well right now. They don't have a single win. That might change tonight in game 2, maybe between the Knicks and the Celtics. How surprising was the Knicks game 1 win over Boston, knowing that they didn't beat them in the regular season at all? And what did they do to best disrupt Boston's rhythm?
I think if you just look at the result of the game and see that they won by 3 points in game 1 on the road in Boston, that's the surprise of it. But in terms of how this game played out, it wasn't surprising at all that the Knicks won because the Celtics were killing themselves from the three-point line. They shot 60 total threes. And when you do that, if you're not making half of those, you're going to wind up losing the game because that's all your shots. You're just jacking up shots from the perimeter, and you're not even looking to put pressure on the Knicks. And even though the Celtics were up 20 in this game, New York just chipped away. It was OG Anunoby hitting big shots. It was Jalen Brunson getting to the rim and hitting big shots. I believe Mikal Bridges had a big three late in the game to help force overtime. So it's just a bunch of things added up for the Celtics where they not only were taking bad shots, but then they would have turnovers late to allow the Knicks to get back in this one. And then ultimately New York was able to hold on in overtime. We're not going to see that happen again. I think that Joe Mazzulla and his staff made it abundantly clear to their players that they are not going to be taking 63s in a game again. They're going to be looking to get back to their roots of what made them champions last year, and that was slashing towards the basket on offense, finding those cutters of Drew Holiday, Derek White, and also Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum being aggressive, getting into the lane, forcing the refs to blow the whistle and get to the free throw line, kind of slowing the pace down a little bit when they need to, and just really controlling this game from top to bottom. And obviously, Kristaps Porzingis going out, illness changed the game plan for both teams. There wasn't as much height on the inside for the Celtics, and he's a big cog in the wheel offensively for them. But now that they're going to have him back for game 2, and now that they kind of got punched in the face and they're back on their home court, I think that we're going to see a blowout win for the Celtics in game 2. I really do believe that. And looking ahead, do the Knicks have a chance moving forward in this series? Obviously, after winning game 1, it favors them, and they saw themselves finally be able to conquer the Celtics in a game. But I just feel like that this is going to be a series that Boston opens their eyes, they realize what happened in game 1, and they're going to gentlemen sweep the Knicks.
We're going to talk about the last game, Western Conference. Thunder also took an L to start the round 2. It's kind of remarkable, some of these NBA series so far. But when you look at the Nuggets and Thunder, who will start game 2 tonight, how impressive was Nikola Jokic's 42-point performance in game 1, especially in a hostile OKC environment? How impressive was that?
I mean, it's video game like, right? He just goes out there every single night and is being compared in these statistics with Wilt Chamberlain or just by himself. And it's just remarkable to see these type of games, but it's not out of the norm. Jokic had these 30-point, 20-rebound games or 40-point, 20-rebound games. He may even do it again later this series, and I wouldn't be shocked if he did, just because he's playing at such a high level right now. I think the highest of his career in my mind, because he's not only doing it on the court, but he's doing it in those huddles and those timeouts as well. We've seen Jokic really step up and become a secondary coach next to interim head coach David Alleman. With Michael Malone gone, Jokic has been the one leading those timeouts. He's getting into his teammates. He's imploring them to really step it up in big moments of the game when they're trailing. And we're seeing those emotions come out of him for the first time in quite some time. So I think that Nikola Jokic, in the sense of becoming a much better leader for the Nuggets, and not only doing it on the court with his stats, but what he's doing for his teammates and really imploring that belief in them. And I think that's why we saw the Nuggets hang around against the Clippers and ultimately win that series. That's why we saw them hang around in game 1 and come away with that remarkable win off the Aaron Gordon made shot. Now they're playing with house money, and their championship team, all those guys on that team know what it's like to win a championship, the core of that roster. The Thunder haven't been there. They're a 68-win team, but the one caveat is that they have struggled against the Nuggets in recent years. They have also struggled against the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves in recent years, and those are the 3 teams still remaining in the West playoff picture. So it's a little interesting to talk about. I still think that the Thunder are the better team. We'll see what happens in game 2 tonight, but I think that this is a game that will decide the series. Obviously, if the Thunder win, they're going to regain momentum. They're going to head into the 2 games in Denver feeling confident in themselves. But if they go down 2-0 to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, this could be a very quick series that could send the Thunder packing early on.
Last thing for you, Brett, when talking about this particular series, you kind of mentioned it, but how important is the experience for Denver in this series against a very young OKC team? Is that something that Oklahoma City Thunder fans should be worried about?
I don't think it plays a factor necessarily looking at the series as a whole, but game by game, there's certain moments in which experience matters. And I think it showed in game 1 with the Thunder and Mark Daigneault deciding to foul when they were leading this game, and they decided to quickly foul the Nuggets with about 14 or 13 seconds left on the clock instead of letting it run down. Obviously, Nikola Jokic was on the bench at the time, so that was a really big decision to allow Jokic to come back in the game, and you're stopping the clock, allowing the Nuggets to shoot those free throws. I think that it's aspects like that, and late in the fourth quarter, how you go about attacking a team and certain adjustments to a press or certain adjustments if the three ball's not falling, getting in the lane and getting those shots. I think that's where experience matters, because you see a lot of times in the playoffs where these young teams just kind of get out of rhythm and it becomes hero ball in a sense, where we see it a lot with the Milwaukee Bucks. It's just Giannis Antetokounmpo going 1-5. Now with the Thunder, it seemed like in game one, when things weren't going their way, it was just Shai Gilgeous-Alexander versus the Nuggets, and he wasn't really looking to get others involved. That's where experience matters to me, because we saw the Nuggets moving the ball well. We saw them getting open shots. And then with Russell Westbrook, the unselfishness to get that ball to Aaron Gordon for the game-winning shot. That's where experience matters. And if there's another moment like that in the fourth quarter of one of these games against the Thunder, it could matter once again.
Brett, appreciate the time as always. Keep up the good work and look forward to checking in with you again later on in the postseason.
Absolutely. Take care, Braden.
I'm Brett Siegel, National NBA Insider and reporter for Clutch Points, joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Always great to have him on. Give us a experienced look at the NBA as the playoffs continue tonight. 2 NHL games tonight, 2 NBA games tonight, Padres baseball on tonight. And we're going to talk more Padres baseball when we come back, as we take a look at the Padres playing the Yankees for Game 3 of a 3-game series. We'll start at 4:05. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 3:05. Gwen and Chris coming up next at 2 o'clock. We lead you up to that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97.2 The Fan. 122 on a Wednesday afternoon. Padres and Yankees will get underway at 4:05 p.m. Pacific time. Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt at 3:05. Kevin Acee has put out the lineup facing Max Fried for the San Diego Padres. So it's the lineup against the left-hander. Interesting to see the DH tonight. Left-handed hitting Gavin Sheets. DHing against a lefty. Haven't seen that this year. Fernando bats leadoff, plays right field. Luis Arraez plays first base, bats second. Manny Machado batting third, playing third. Jackson Merrill bats fourth, plays center. Xander Bogaerts bats fifth, is the shortstop. Gavin Sheets, the DH, batting sixth. Oscar Gonzalez plays left field. He bats seventh. Jose Iglesias bats eighth. He plays second. Martin Maldonado bats ninth and catches. That is your Padres starting lineup against Max Fried, who they hit pretty well last year in the postseason. Max Fried, the former Padres farmhand, now a member of the New York Yankees, signed a big contract with New York. He has been their best pitcher since Garrett Cole went down with an injury at the beginning part of the season and will miss the entire year. Max Fried's been outstanding this season. Dylan Cease has not been outstanding this season, although aside from his numbers are a little skewed from that outing he had in Sacramento against the A's. But overall, has done okay. You look at the pitching matchup tonight between the Yankees and the Padres with Dylan Cease and Max Fried. Max Fried comes in on the season. No, I looked at the wrong thing. No, where's the... There it is. Fried 6-0 with a 1.01 ERA. Dylan Cease 1-2 with a 5.61 ERA. Padres at 23-12. Yankees 20-16. Padres trying to take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees for an off day tomorrow, and then a 3-game series against the Colorado Rockies before they come back next week to take on the Los Angeles Angels. Had the lineup, like I said. I'm looking for the Padres to bounce back tonight. It'd be nice to grind out and get to that Yankees bullpen. You can't let Max Fried get comfortable against you. I mean, once he starts getting into a groove, it's hard to stop. Yankees have their lineup as well. Rice, Judge, Wells, Goldschmidt, Bellinger, Volpe, Dominguez, Cabrera, Vivas. The starting 9 for the New York Yankees. I think the Padres have played very well on this road trip. I think they've done a good job taking care of business against the Pirates. I think they did a good job. A great way to steal a win on Monday against the Yankees. And then yesterday, again, Adrian Morejon didn't have it. Wandy Peralta was okay, but he got lit up a little bit too. 2 players in the bullpen that are not going to be high leverage guys late in the year. And now you got Sean Reynolds back as part of the organization, or really reinstated from the injured list. So Sean Reynolds, I would imagine, will get some work today for the Padres bullpen. They send Burgert down to AAA El Paso. And coming up on Friday, you should be seeing Jake Cronenworth, who was 1 for 2 today with a couple of walks. He did a good job getting on base down in El Paso. Did hit a home run yesterday. And so you had Jake Cronenworth to the lineup. All of a sudden, that lineup lengthens a little bit. Should have a little bit better offensively against Colorado coming up over the weekend. But it'd be nice. It'd be nice to get a victory tonight against Max Fried and the Yankees. I thought out of the 3-game series, your best chances of getting wins were the first 2 days. Bullpen let you down last night. Bullpen's still fine. Don't overreact to just 1 game, and we'll see how the Padres do against Max Fried tonight at 4 o'clock. Still can't believe they're playing at 4 o'clock on the Pacific Coast. Come on, man. Where's the East Coast night games? They're in the middle of the day. You can rest up a little bit. No rainouts. They had no rainouts in New York with the off day. They played through a monsoon. Have the roundtable tomorrow though. Frank's first time contributing to. Well, you're not going to be on the roundtable, but you'll be here. You ready to enjoy some roundtable pizza? They have wings too. They bring in some wings.
Oh, very good. Sure. Yeah. I'll indulge a little bit.
Because nothing says like roundtable pizza.
Yeah. Nothing says
9:30 in the morning.
Exactly.
So we'll be locked in, ready to go for tomorrow. I want to ask the question. I think Mike Shilt's done a great job. Everybody was talking about how great Mike Shildt was yesterday after that whole ejection fiasco on Monday. But I look at, and we got 3 questions that we want answered in the next segment. Talk about Jackson Merrill's return. Is he already the Padres' most valuable position player? We talked about that earlier. We'll get back to that in the final segment. Is this Padres bullpen actually championship caliber? Do you trust this bullpen in October, or is AJ Preller going to need to add another arm? And then the other one is Mike Shildt the best Padres manager since Bruce Bochy? We'll answer all those questions when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. We'll lead you into Gwen and Chris on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. at 4:05 p.m. Pacific time. Eagle Water SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Lett will start at 3:05. Gwynn and Chris will have the next hour with Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Scraby, leading you up to the Eagle Water SoCal Padres pregame show. We will be back tomorrow at 11, as we will have the roundtable at 10, sponsored by Roundtable Pizza. Be a nice interaction with the boys. Obviously, after having a pretty good road trip so far, it's even better after a Padres victory, which hopefully they will get today against the Yankees. We saw on Monday the altercation with Mike Shildt and the home plate umpire. We saw it with Fernando Tatis Jr. John Boy did a whole breakdown on it. I'm going to watch that when we get off the air. I think a lot of people said it was interesting to watch. It was like 6-7 minutes long, where he does his lip reading and everything like that. Frank, are you for or against those? Do you like those?
I do like those, yes. It's
What's your favorite one of all time?
Oh, God.
Because I have one that comes to mind that is like the best.
What is yours then?
The best of the best. Oh, wow, Arsenal scored. Best of the best. No, go ahead. What do we got?
No, go ahead. What's yours? Because I can't.
You can't think of one off the top of your head?
My head. No.
I don't want to make it biased for you.
No, go for it.
My favorite breakdown that they ever did. It's like 12 minutes long. It's when Cincinnati and I think it was the Pirates. Cincinnati and the Pirates. It was that fight between the Reds and I want to say it was the Pirates, where Amir Garrett took on the entire team by himself.
Oh, yes.
And in the middle of all of that, like, Yasiel Puig got traded to the Guardians in the middle of the game. Like, he's in the middle of a fight, and he's already not on their team anymore. Because he's part of the trade that sent Franmil Reyes to whatever. Remember that trade that they had?
Yeah.
That was probably the best breakdown I've ever seen them do.
Speaking of, not to get off topic, but did you see the fight in Pittsburgh last night?
No, another fight in Pittsburgh.
It wasn't on the field. One of their ushers, somebody got in one of their
I
ushers'
just saw
face. Yeah, it was insane. First of all,
I saw it like the clip, like I was scrolling through. I didn't like watch the video. So what was the context of the situation?
Apparently it starts in the middle, but a guy and an usher are like nose to nose yelling at each other.
At a Pirates game, there's probably like 25 total people at that game.
Exactly. Which why you would argue with an usher to begin with is a question enough. But apparently the guy spits on the usher.
Oh no.
It's like this tall guy, probably mid-20s. So he's not going to take that. Just starts swinging at the guy. And honestly, the guy earned it with what he did. At one point, they're still going back and forth with each other. The guy takes his belt off.
Oh, no.
And starts whipping the dude with this belt. The usher did this.
The usher is whipping a patron with a belt.
Yes, after getting spat on by him multiple times. So,
is that justified if you get spit on? Are you supposed to like walk the other way? I mean, you're obviously not going to work there ever again.
He has been suspended, the last I saw, by the Pirates, which understandable. The usher went a little over the top, but seriously, I'm not taking someone spitting on me either. Like, that's not a thing that I'm going to accept as, it's my job. I can't do anything about it. No,
that's not your job anymore. You're like, I can't do this anymore.
Exactly. I'm standing up for myself here.
I saw the clip. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so the guy's in his face, and the usher's like not having it. And the guy's smaller than the usher. I mean, the usher's looking down at him.
Yes.
I just don't know. It's like a 7-minute video, so I'm not going to watch the whole thing. But I'm scrolling through this. I can't believe you would ever spit in somebody's face. Then the patron drops his bag and is like, gets ready to drop gloves. But the belt whipping is hilarious.
It's fantastic,
because he's off to a different spot. He's already had a scuffle with this guy. He continues to try to walk away, And then he says something at him. He's like, all right, that's it. Belt's coming off. About to be belt to ass right now.
He got him a couple times. He got him good a couple times.
And this is all during a game?
Yes.
You look at the video, there's nobody in the stands. Everybody's watching this instead of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, he starts whipping him with the belt.
But that's another thing. Like, if you have one, again, why are you arguing with an usher at a ball game? That's like, of the things that I would do at a ball game, that is at the bottom of my list.
Where's security right
an
now?
Usher.
Security doesn't get involved. Are they even like hired at the Pirates games? There's so less, like little, like not a lot of people there.
I don't know, but you can't just go to a different section.
I know.
Like, go to a different section. What are you doing? You can find your way back to your seat another way. Like, you don't have to go through there. You don't have to continue having this
dude,
altercation.
the other day at the game. Sorry to interrupt. I just thought of this
You're
immediately.
fine. No, you're good.
The other day at the game, I went with my buddies, and went as a patron, not as a media member.
Mm.
And I'm meeting up with them because I went and had dinner with my parents. And so I go to meet up with them, and I'm walking to the section, and I'm stuck at the top, like before you walk down. It was like section 1 something.
Right before the pitch, yeah.
And the guy is arguing with the usher about how his tickets are for those seats, like in that section. And the usher's like, no, it's not. And it was like, no, these are for this section. It's holding up traffic. And I'm like, what is going on? I mean, how do you not know how to get to your seat?
Oh, it wasn't like the usher wasn't holding the wait until no play.
He
is
was.
happening.
He's holding everybody off, but he's telling the guy with the ticket, it's not for this section.
You're not here.
You're in the wrong spot. And the guy was adamant that he was in the right section. I finally just go, all right, forget this. I kind of cut everybody in line and just walk past. I look at the guy's ticket as he's showing it. It's like we're in section 117. He's showing a ticket for section 329. I'm like, brother, get out of line. Get out of line.
Right, yes.
You're not winning this battle. First of all, the usher probably knows. We got some great ushers at Petco Park. Yeah. They know where you're supposed to be sitting. They do a great job.
I was going to say, the guy who goes to 1 or 2 games a year versus the usher who is there every single night, placed in different areas of the ballpark. I think the guy who's there every night knows where what is.
I'm like, dude, get out of the way. Just get out of the way. I love the I have never ever. I don't want to curse myself. I have never sat in the wrong seat.
I have.
Now, I've done it on purpose if there's open spaces around, hey, I'm just going to sit here, whatever.
Absolutely.
If they show up, I'll move back to my seat. But I've never looked at a thing and been in the wrong section. That seems to happen to people around me a lot. Especially if it's some type of season ticket where this is where I'm sitting, this is my seat. You're in our seats. No, I'm not. Is this section 1 whatever? No, it's not. Oh, are you sure?
My bad.
Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. And sometimes it's not that big of a deal. It's just sit close. Sometimes I hate when there's people in my seat because I don't want to be that guy. If somebody's in my seat and then there's seats next to my seat, I'll just sit in those seats until those people show up, and then I'm like, time to go, buddy.
I was trying to be nice about this, but you're in my way.
You're in my seat now. So I was in their seat. Well, where are your seats? Right here? Well, why aren't you sitting there? Well, I don't know who these people are, but they're in the wrong section. So great. Having to deal with that all the time.
That's just a common courtesy, I think. If you're next to a party of 5 and you're a 1 and your seat is right next to the 5, you give them a seat buffer. That, I think that's just common courtesy until the person who has the seat that you're in.
100%.
Yeah.
That happened to me the other day, too, in the parking lot. We're parking in the parkade.
This final segment's becoming a Seinfeld episode.
I know. Well, I guess it's Scraby's Gripes. How about this? What's your take? What do you got on this? Parking in the parkade. Down at the Padres parkade, the big parking garage, whatever. So we're driving up the deal, and we back into a spot, There's like 50 spots open.
The MTS parking tower or the Hilton across the street?
No, the parkade that's over on J and whatever.
Oh.
The one that says Padres Parkade on the thing?
Yes, yeah.
So we parked there. I go like 5th level. The entire, like, it's on one of the straightaways. Like, the entire straightaway's got no cars in it. Back into like a spot. I'm about to get out of the car on the passenger side.
Someone parks next to you.
Somebody parks next to us so tight that I can't even open the door. And I was like, brother, are we for real right now? You have all of these spots that you could go park in, and you decide to park right next to us? I had to get out on the other side of the car because I couldn't get out because they parked too close. There's no other cars in that section. The car behind us parked next to us.
I saw that happen in Manhattan once. Dude got out, had to do the same exact thing, got out the other side of the car, and then punted the dude's headlight.
Oh, God, I would never do that. I mean, I was irritated.
Yeah, but again, it's like, bro.
Are you good?
You've got nothing on that side. There's nobody else here, and you park right on me. Like, what are you doing?
It's like that meme of the urinal. Oh, yeah. Gabriel's got it.
Yes.
Padre guy's just sitting there doing his thing. Dodger guy shows up. We don't care about the Padres. Goes right next to him. All right, dude. All right, man. Yeah, the parking next to, that was insane. I had to get out on the other side of the car.
Yeah, no.
And then I kind of gave him like for right now? Like, we really?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I would have given the whole, like, look one way, look the other in the most exaggerated way and been like, okay, I guess we're doing this.
Padres baseball coming up tonight at 4:05. Hopefully none of you are driving over to Yankee Stadium, listening on the Odyssey app. Hopefully you took the train, if that's the case.
It's the 4 train there.
Oh, is that what that is? Did I take the train back?
Yankee Stadium.
I took the train back to Manhattan. We took an Uber there. Hopefully Joe in New Jersey holds it down out there. He says it's a pain in the ass getting to the Bronx on any type of time. He needs to bring the A game in the bleachers. If we see a big dude wearing a Padres jersey in the bleachers, it's probably Joe. He always sits there. So hopefully he gives us a call tomorrow talking about a Padres 2 out of 3 to the New York Yankees.
It's a brave man to sit out there by them.
He says they don't bother him. Well, he's big enough or they don't bother him. That's what I said. Hey, man, you're braver than I am. I don't want to go out there. I don't want to sit in the pavilion at Dodger Stadium. I don't want to sit in the bleachers at Yankee Stadium.
Nope. Don't want to sit in the judges' chambers. Don't want to sit anywhere near those people.
No. You don't even want to go to the Bronx.
You're right. I do not.
Mr. Met over here. All right. Yes, we did get the lineup card. Kevin AC tweeted it out before. We had that for you. We're not going to get to everything that we asked going into break. We were doing our own little Seinfeld rant as much as we could. But one of the questions was that I think is interesting. And we talked about Jackson Merrill's return earlier in the show. And we talked about the bullpen earlier in the show. The only thing we didn't talk about was Mike Shildt. And the question was, is Mike Shildt the best Padres manager since Bruce Bochy? Monday's fiery ejection energized the clubhouse, even if the players said the preparation won the game, not the outburst. Players like Bogarts, Arias, and Tatis are visibly responding to Shildt's support and leadership. They all love playing for him. Team is consistently resilient and playing with purpose, leading to the second best start in franchise history. Which leads to the question, does Mike Shildt deserve more credit for changing the culture, and is he already the best manager the Padres have had in decades? I would say he probably does deserve more credit for the culture change. I've seen these guys, in the last couple of years, some of the players trying to change the culture in the clubhouse, which I think goes a long way, and I think they do get the credit for that. But you've seen a massive difference in the team personality with Mike Shildt in charge just compared to Bob Melvin in the 2 years that he had. It's still relatively a small sample size, but in 197 games that Mike Shildt has managed, he has the best winning percentage out of any Padres manager. A .589 winning percentage, as Mike Shildt and his team has won 116 games and have lost 81. He's been 35. He's 35 games above 500 as a manager of the Padres, which is also the best out of any Padres manager. And the winning percentage, because he doesn't have the most wins is Bruce Bochy with 951 wins. But the next highest winning percentage was Jack McKeon in 3 years with a 541 winning percentage. Bob Melvin finished with a 528 winning percentage. Jace Tingler with a 523 winning percentage. Granted, one of those seasons was shortened. Dick Williams had a 520 winning percentage with the Padres. He's in the Hall of Fame. I'm sure Bruce Bochy will enter the Hall of Fame at some point during his career, too. But Bochy was a 12-year manager for the Padres at a 494 win-loss percentage. 951 career wins for Bruce. For Boch, 975 losses. He did have a lot of down years in that group, too. In those mid-2000s years, which kind of skews his results. But if you look at the managers that the Padres have had, and they've had some good ones, I would say Mike Shildt's probably the next best manager behind Bruce Bochy. And Bruce Bochy got him to a World Series. I think it's tough to argue with what he has been able to do so far this year and what he did last year to disagree with that. I like his fiery nature. And to me, and I keep saying this all the time about when it comes to managers, do not evaluate a manager for the strategy, the in-game strategy. Evaluate the manager for how he handles egos and personalities, because that's what you do as a major league manager. And right now, he has a lot of high-paid guys and a lot of guys at the bottom of the totem pole, all contributing in the same ways and pulling the rope in the right direction for Mike Shildt. And so you look at Mike Shildt's start, and you've looked at the way that he's been able to do things so far for the Padres. I think it's hard to argue against the fact that Mike Shildt's probably the best manager the Padres have had since Bruce Bochy. And that's not saying much. I think Bud Black did a good job for what he was given from 2007 to 2015, not having any type of really good teams mixed in there. I think Bob Melvin did a fair job here in San Diego. I don't think he gets a lot of credit. I mean, he did take him to the NLCS, a place that the Padres have only been 3 times total in their career, in their history. And he did finish with a winning percentage. And I don't think a lot of people are upset that he ended up leaving to go to the Giants. But that being said, still successful manager for the Padres. But maybe they don't have the track record that you would think. But when it's all said and done, wouldn't be surprised if Mike Shildt might be the best manager for the Padres in their history when it's all said and done. That's still a lot of time left, and we'll see where this thing goes. He's only been here for a year and a little bit longer than that. But he's off to a pretty good start. And I like the way that the team rallies behind Mike Shildt. What do you think, Frank?
I think this is a very good topic of conversation to bring up tomorrow, because once you started, the phones lit up, and unfortunately we just don't have a lot of time to get to phone calls right now coming up against the end of the show. But you're right. I think that if you look at the quality of what this team has done as far as rallying around a manager and fighting for a manager and appreciating the fact that a manager is willing to fight for them, I would have to say, yeah, that Mike Shildt would be number 2 behind Bruce Bochy. I mean, you can throw Bud Black in that, because I believe it was it Bochy or Black that got them the division title in 2007, wasn't it?
He won the division title. Boch won the division title in
Bochy.
05 and 06.
Okay.
Bud Black's team lost in 07 to the Rockies.
Allegedly. But
they never tagged him either, so.
Never touched him on plate.
I'm aware. But yeah, those are the best 2 in terms of the overall wins, followed by Dick Williams, Andy Green, who'd been here for 4 years. Mike Shildt moving up the list very quickly. Padres baseball at 4:05. Equator SoCal Padres pregame show at 3:05. Coming up next, Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ella, Matt Scraby. I'm Braden Surprenant, and he's Frank Marchese. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow on the Braden Surprenant Show.